Warning. You're now entering a stream that isn't suitable for everyone. Be warned that this channel will have swearing, singing, sexual innuendos and lots of jokes that could easily offend. It is advised that you must be a little bit weird yourself to enjoy this channel, as those that thrive and enjoy the stream are weird in their own little ways. The chat is called El Chatty and is a wonderful community. It really is. However, again, it might not be for everyone. We want to hear everyone's opinion, no matter what it is. We encourage debate as long as it's done respectfully. If you're easily offended or don't like differing views, then again, this channel is not for you. By entering this stream you do so at your own risk. If you want to try it out, that's absolutely fine, but if you don't like it, no need to announce your departure, you can just leave quietly, as this isn't an airport.
Yo, how are we doing, everybody? I hope you're all well. Welcome back. I did not think I would be here today. I did not know or think that we would be here today. Where's my camera? No, my camera's off. Let me just change my settings for my camera. 2 seconds. Is this the one? Yes, this is the one. This is the one I like. Hey, that's better. How are we, everybody? Mexi Taxi, Lovely Sarah P, Josie, Lady Di. Hello. I've not seen Lady Di for 2 months. How are you, my darling? Glad to have you back. Cheaty Stacey, nice to see you, my darling. How are you? Hope you're well. Mexi, Lady Di, missed you as well. J-Mac, how are you, my darling? I hope your treatment's going well today, my darling. What a pleasant. There you go. I'll correct you. It's fine. Hope you're doing all right, J-Mac. Hope you're doing well, my darling. This year. So I couldn't help it. I was laying on the couch and I was like, you know what? I need to do something. I need to take a break from Karen Reid, you know what I mean? I need to decompress from it all. There's so many things, people covering it. Karen Reid, great. Go watch everything. Go watch everyone, you know. But I wanted to get away from it all for a little bit. I'll come back and talk about my experiences in Boston with it all at a later date, you know. So, Justin, I'm not in Boston at the minute, my friend. I am back in Wales now. So, there you go. Perfect timing. Just that my infusion, and then I got the happy days. So let's all pray for J-Mac. She's having a cancer treatment at the minute. So let's go, J-Mac. Let's beat it, J-Mac. We're with you. I know you know I'm with you, my darling. Hi, Yaya Trucker. Thank you, my darling. Nice to see you. We do. And that's why I decided to cover a trial for a murder of a 14-year-old. Do you know what I mean? That's how I decompress, you know? So I thought this was an important case. When I saw her, I was like, oh, I got to cover this. This is a death penalty case. This guy, Ronny's accused of killing a 14-year-old in Tampa Bay. So I just thought I got to cover it, you know, got to cover it. You know what I'm like. Anything involving children, I have to do it, you know, I have to. Hello, Dawn. How are you, my darling? Dawn Thorpe. Hello, my darling. How are you? How are you? Nice to see you, Nice to see familiar names here from the Karen Reid trial. Can we all have a little background? I have zero clue, Lady Di. All I know is Tampa Bay. This guy killed a 14-year-old, and that's it. So let me Google it quickly. I literally found this 30 minutes ago. So I will do a quick Google Ronny Walker, because also they're on day 2. We're doing day 1. They're on day 2. So it's a shooting of 14-year-old. So it's a 2022 murder. So Ronny Walker could face the death penalty for the 2022 murder of 14-year-old Nilexia Alexander. So it's a female. This trial isn't the first time he's been charged in someone's death. Okay, let's look at it now then. Oh, there's no more info than that. So he's been accused of murdering somebody before. Right, okay. Let's find something else then. Okay, there's Fox News here then. Let's have a look at this. Let's see if this will show us anything. Right, let's play this first. So we got some background, and then we'll go from there. Hey, Scottish, how are you? Peace and respect to you as well, sir. Let's play this, and then, oh shit, wrong one. And then we'll get some background on this, so very quickly. And then we'll go into... Right, why is that? Okay, I had another stream going on in the background there. Right, share this one. Nope, that's the wrong one. Why have I got that up? I don't know. Right, hang on. Oh my god, what am I doing? Mexi, save me. Present, share screen. No, not that one. Oh, I know why. I know why. It's in a different tab. Okay, what a dummy. That's fine. I could change that over here, over there. There we go. On there. Separate that. Go back here. Hello, Fancy. Nice to see you back, my darling. Nice to see everybody here. As I say, we wanted to decompress a little bit. Share screen. So this is a 3-minute background for you all. Here we go. Thank you, Lady Di. Love it. Why is it not showing? Oh, there you go. That's why. There you go. Right, hang on. Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. This is the one. Right, hang on. Let me...
Alley, prosecutors are being methodical as they try to whittle...
Case of Ronny Walker. He's the man accused of killing a 14-year-old girl and dumping her body back in 2022. Nilexia Alexander was found dead on Florabraska Avenue in the early morning.
So she's the 14-year-old, so there you go.
After neighbors reported hearing numerous gunshots. Fox 13's Evan Axelbank has been following this for us. He's in the newsroom with the quest to find a jury as Walker faces the death penalty, Evan.
Alley, prosecutors are being methodical as they try to whittle down a jury pool of 150 into a jury of 12 with 3 alternates. The tension around this case is enormous, given the death penalty is at stake, as is justice for a girl's family.
Ashley Alexander hasn't yet seen in person the man prosecutors say shot her daughter, Nilexia, in the dead of night. But that day is rapidly approaching.
He took a decision to pull a trigger and took my baby from me. And that changed the world for my family and I.
Prosecutors and defense attorneys have spent nearly a week picking a jury. Back in 2022, when police were still trying to ID Nilexia through a tattoo, police said she was found in a field off of Florabraska Avenue and that she was seen on video getting into Ronny Walker's car at 3 a.m. on May 6th. But for now, only lawyers know what for.
I do want to know the motive. I want to know what she could have done, what she could have said.
Ashley adopted Nilexia when she was 4, after years shuffling through foster homes. Nilexia became obsessed with finding her birth parents. But when an opportunity to meet them went south, her mother says Nilexia ran away time and again. How she met Walker in the first place is still unknown to her mother.
I'm waiting on justice. I pray the jurors listed out to the evidence that the prosecutors have. And I pray they understand this was a child that was taken by a grown man.
Walker was given a life sentence for manslaughter in 2010, but was let out after an appeal in 2016. This time, an accused accomplice might also testify. Robert Creed is charged with accessory to murder after the fact and may have been in the car that night. For now, Walker is waiting. Ashley is waiting for 2 things: for justice and for something that will never come.
But you still find yourself calling her name, looking forward to see her come out the room, looking for us in the kitchen cooking. The house went silent when he killed her. Everything in the house stopped. There was no more life in our home.
Prosecutors have discovered that while a cell phone charger was found at the scene, Nelexia's phone was found in Walker's car as it went to Tampa General Hospital after the shooting. They've also found DNA from both the suspect and the victim in that car. The trial is expected to start Wednesday with the opening statements. Nelexia's mother will be there. We're in the newsroom. Evan Axelbank, Fox 13 News.
Okay. Okay, jeepers, I did not realize some of that. Shut the You guys don't hear it. This woman's in my ear speaking. Shut up. I don't care if it's positive or not. Okay, wow. So, this is going to be something, isn't it? So, right, let me just put a banner up here because I know people's going to come in and say, what is this? What are we doing? So, this trial is a murder and death penalty trial. The defendant, Ronny Walker, is accused of allegedly shooting and killing a she's a 14-year-old runaway. Oh shit. Child in Tampa Bay. I think that's fair. We don't know more than that, so there you go. So when people come in, we can point them to there. I know. I'm curious as well. And what's the defense going to be? This is why I say, it's good. I'm going to be playing this at 1.25. The actual trial is on day 2. So I was going to wait till Monday to do all this. And as I was scratching my balls, I was like, stop scratching your balls, get a shower, get up, and let's do the trial. And I asked the mods, should we do a trial? And I had a fuck yeah from the mods. So we are here. So that's why I'm a little bit disorganized, because literally I just set up all up about 10:30 your time. Right, I can't find the frigging thing now. So just so people don't know, Bex used to see me scratch my balls all the time, and I never knew until she told me, because I didn't realize she had the same view, so she could see me do everything. Jackson's Nickel, hello, Jackson's Nickel, hello. Yeah, I know. Right, let's put the trial on, shall we? Let's find it first. I need to find the trial. Where's the trial? Here. Thank you, Fancy. As I say, there's so much going on about Karen Reid, and I just need to decompress for a bit all, do you know what I mean? So I'm so happy for Karen, but now justice has not stopped. So I thought, you know what, let's try and get some justice for this 14-year-old today. What am I looking for? YouTube. Jackson, I love a peach skier. So I'm still on a high as well, Josie. I am as well. But that's why I needed a break from it all. Right. So Ronny Walker trial. We're all on a high. So, hey, James. Hello, James. Nice to see you, brother. Not seen you for a while. James is from Scotland. So Scottish, you might know, James. Right, let's play this then. It's a Tampa Bay one, right? Okay. Okay, let me find the spot. Okay, so these are from opening statements. The jury being selected. I know nothing about the jury. But here we go. Let me just make this bigger. That's what she said. Right, present. As I say, I will do another update on the Karen Reid trial at some other point. But I think 7:30 Eastern tonight, Alessi and Yannetti are going to be on with Ian Runkle. So go and watch that. That should be very interesting. So I'm waiting for Karen to go on with Turtle Boy. That's what I'm looking forward to. And I know there's loads of jurors come out, but we'll cover that at another point, you know. And also the Albus, everybody's come out and said stuff, pieces of shit they are. That's another video. I'll keep that separate. Everyone else is showing all these things. I want to bring something a little bit different. So, hey, Scottish, thank you so much to you, sir. I hope you're a sir. Congratulations to Tony, Escher, TD, Frida, and Shady X Mill. Thank you, Scottish. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Right, here we go, everybody. Are we all ready? Are you going to strap it in or are you going to strap it on? Let's go. And can we just, before we start, let me just find this. So the name of the 14-year-old is Nilexia Alexander. So can we just take a moment, whatever happens in this trial, can we just take a moment, wherever you are, we'll take a moment to remember the 14-year-old in this case, Nilexia Alexander. So we'll take a moment. Rest in peace, Nilexia. Let's try and get justice for her, whatever that may look like. So, right, here we go, everybody. No, Scottish. I'm here. I'm here on the daily, Scottish. I'm here on the daily. I do trials every day, pretty much. So, hi LPH. Thank you for popping in. Thank you very much, Medallion. Hope you're well. Right, let me just. Right, that's the one. Right, here we go. Oh, let me take that banner down. My alternate corner banner down. Can you please make sure you like the video? That would be very, very helpful to me. If you could like it, that'd be great. So yeah. Right, with that, let's get on.
Erin Hartree drives a bus, yellow bus, yellow bus. Erin Hartree drives a bus all day long.
I think the pillar's okay this time.
We learn what happened in that car. We learned that because we are later able to ascertain the identity of the passenger in that car, Robert Quincy Creed. Robert Quincy Creed tells us that at that point when the car stops, Ronny Walker begins to yell at Nilexia and asks her if she's having sex with someone. He's not exactly sure what the whole screaming is about or the argument about, and at that point in time wasn't paying a lot of attention until suddenly he hears a gunshot in the car and looks over and sees Nilexia Alexander holding her chest and sees Ronny Walker holding a silver or a chrome firearm in his hand. Ronny Walker orders Nilexia out of the vehicle after being shot, and she gets out of the car. And Ronny Walker gets out of the car with her. She walks a couple feet away from the car, at which point she is shot 3 more times in the head, one of them within 12 inches of her face. You'll see the stippling to her face, which a medical examiner is going to tell you means that gun was within 12 inches of her face. Intentional, premeditated. Her body's left there on the field, and as you see from that video, the car quickly drives away, lights off. Robert Quincy Creed will tell you that he was sick that night, didn't want to go out, but Ronny Walker insisted that he went with him, that all occurred. He did not know. He will tell you that he believes she was shot in the chest because of the way she was holding her chest. That he did not see how she was shot outside, but he thought he shot 2 more times. We have audio evidence, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to hear from another camera the actual shots that occurred and the timing of those shots, which was at 3:08 a.m. And you're going to hear one shot, a significant pause, 4 more shots in rapid succession, another pause, and then another shot. 6 times Ronny Walker shot that gun. Shot her once in that car, then shot her outside the car, executing her. Now, Robert Quincy Creed, ladies and gentlemen, is an accomplice, as you know. He was charged with accessory after the fact. He has pled guilty to that. And he has a prior felony record. And you're going to hear that his phone had contact with Nilexia at some point in the past as well. We're not here to tell you that Robert Quincy Creed is completely hands off of this. We know he was involved as well. That's why he was charged. Now, going beyond what Robert Quincy Creed says, detectives are out there. They find out a little while later they receive a 911 call. They go out to the scene and they find a body, Nilexia Alexander. At this point in time, they don't know who this body is. They don't know who she is. And you'll see pictures of the crime scene. You'll see pictures of the body of Nilexia Alexander and how she was discovered abandoned in that crime scene. You will see that the detectives at that point go around looking for cameras, and that's when they find this video. So at this point in time, they have a description of a vehicle. They have Nilexia Alexander's body, who they haven't yet even identified. And that's it. And ladies and gentlemen, that may have been the end of it. A case gone cold with the body of a 14-year-old runaway left on a vacant lot. That could have been the end. But it wasn't. Because Nilexia Alexander left a clue. She left a lead for the detectives. Nilexia Alexander left her phone in the back seat of that vehicle. And Ronny Walker didn't know that. So I'm going to come back to that in a moment. But first, ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you quickly about the crime scene. Detectives come out. You're going to hear the investigation that they did at the crime scene. At the crime scene, they find Nilexia Alexander. They don't find a phone, but they find the cord that you saw around her neck in that picture, the charger, and they find a bottle of a drink that she was drinking at the time. They find a shell casing. They find some blood. They don't see much else. Nilexia Alexander is taken to the medical examiner's office, where an autopsy is conducted. She is shot once in the shoulder that comes out through around the clavicle area. She's shot 3 times in the head. And again, one of those very close shot. The detective who was running the crime scene, who you will hear from, Detective Aaron Campbell, believes there's got to be something more out at that crime scene. Now remember, when they're doing this crime scene, it's the middle of the night, it's dark. You can see how dark it was in that video. This is a dark, vacant lot. There's no lights. There's nothing to see. So he goes back out there. And when he goes back out there, you're going to hear that he finds 2 more casings. And he also finds 2 projectiles in the ground. All of these casings match up. They were all fired from the same gun. So 4 casings are total found. So at this point in time, they eventually, because of a tattoo that Nilexia Alexander had on her arm, they're able to identify her. So they start doing some research, investigation, and they find out that a few weeks before, Nilexia Alexander had actually called 911 from a telephone. In that 911 call registers the phone number on that phone. So they began to do an investigation into that phone number. They find something amazing. After Nilexia Alexander has been killed, based on what they've been able to determine as the time that she was shot, her phone continues to move. They're able to follow it for a while, and are able to capture some videos of that car moving in specific areas where the phone was moving. That same black vehicle that you saw in that video. And they continue to follow where that phone seems to go on that evening, just after the homicide. And they follow it all the way to a Thornton's on Hillsborough. And at that Thornton, Thornton's, they see that car pull in, and they see this man get out of the car, out of the driver's seat. Ronny Walker. They now have a face. At this point in time, they haven't identified him, but they know that's the car. They know that car is there at the same time that Nilexia Alexander's phone is there. and they now see a gentleman wearing this jacket, which will become important as well, getting gas. They also see someone get out of the passenger side. Again, they can't identify, but they know that there were two men in that car, the driver, Ronny Walker, and this passenger, who they will later identify as Robert Quincy Creed. So they continue to follow this phone. It's like a trail of breadcrumbs. And the phone leaves at Thornton's, and it goes to an area near where Nilexia Alexander was when she was picked up. And it's there for a while. Again, at this point in time, they don't know who this is. They know they have a picture of this man, they have a general idea, description, they know the general type of car, but they don't know who he is. But they know that Nilexia Alexander's phone has gone to this other location and it's there for a while. But here's another funny thing. The next day, that phone starts moving again. Ronny Walker still has not found out or figured out that that phone is still in his car. And so they follow it the next day. And sure enough, the next day, drives through downtown Tampa, and they see it go to an area around Tampa General Hospital. The phone does. Nilexia Alexander's phone. And so they were able to pull up Tampa General Hospital's license plate readers. And sure enough, there's a license plate reader there, and they see the car come through, and that license plate reader identifies the owner of that vehicle as Ronny Walker. Now they have a name. So they then attempt to locate Ronny Walker, and they don't find him at first, but they notice that the tag has a thing on it that says Giant Motor Sales. So they realize that it was purchased at a used car dealership, Giant Motor Sales. So they decide to go to Giant Motor Sales to talk to the person there about the purchase and see if maybe it has a locator on it or something. And when they get there, lo and behold, who is there but Ronny Walker himself? Turns out Ronny Walker worked there. Now, by this point in time in the investigation, the phone is no longer pinging. Clearly, the phone had been discovered and discarded. So they get there, and they immediately meet with Ronny Walker, who proceeds to tell them various things that are clearly provable lies. He gives the wrong name of his girlfriend. He indicates someone was with him at Tampa General Hospital who they later find out was not with him. So they continue to their investigation. The car is at the Giant Motor lots. It's clearly impounded and taken into evidence. The car is searched. No phone. Nilexia Alexander's phone is not in that car. And they proceed to look for any evidence in the car, any blood, anything like that. And you're going to hear from a crime scene investigator who will tell you how they do that. And one of the things they do is this thing called Blue Star, which lights up kind of an ultraviolet light when there is iron or something that could potentially be blood in the car. And sure enough, on the back passenger driver's side, or back seat driver's side passenger, in the little area, when you open the door, that little door jamb area, they see what looks to be some sort of substance, and they swab it, and it tests positive for blood. That blood, ladies and gentlemen, is Nilexia Alexander's blood. It was a mixture. It was Nilexia Alexander and Ronny Walker and some other unknown individual. Not Robert Quincy Creed, but some other unknown individual. But Nilexia Alexander was the main one. They also learn that Ronny Walker at that time had a girlfriend by the name of Erica Sweet. He gave a different name for her, Erica Roberts or something, but her name was Erica Sweet. And they learned that he was living with Erica Sweet at the time. And it turns out Erica Sweet was only a couple of blocks from where Nilexia Alexander was picked up. And also, interestingly enough, the phone, Nilexia Alexander's phone, that whole night was in an area associated or where Erica Sweet lives and Ronny Walker lives. You also hear that another individual comes forward, a man by the name of Stanley Wilson, a man who has a significant prior criminal history. He is a man who sold fake insurance to people. And so he eventually got convicted of selling fake insurance to lots of different people. And so each one of those is a felony, so he has a lot of felonies. But you are also going to hear that at the time he was dating or seeing Ronny Walker's niece. In that he is kind of a, I don't know if the word is player, but he kind of knows the neighborhood, knows a lot of people, works with a lot of bondsmen. And he will tell you that Ronny Walker approached him one day and said, hey, I might need a bond. He initially tells him that Hugh or Quincy Creed shot a girl. But then he says, no, man, it's me. I need it for me. I'm the one who shot her. Can you help me out with that? And he tells her, or tells Stanley Wilson, that he shot her because she had given him an STD, or he believed she had. That was his belief, which he had then given to his girlfriend. The evidence, ladies and gentlemen, will show you that Ronny Walker picked up Nilexia Alexander, drove her to a secluded spot, shot her multiple times, including once in the face at close range, drove to the Thorntons with her phone after committing this murder, drove back home to Erica Sweet's house, where his phone and Erica Sweet's phone, and that's another thing. Erica Sweet had a phone also. Ronny Walker at that time didn't have a phone, but Erica Sweet did. His girlfriend, what he called her wifey. And that night, at 3 a.m., sure enough, Erica Sweet's phone's moving. And it's moving along with Ronny Walker's car. And at a certain point, and you will see video of this, both Erica Sweet's phone and Nilexia Alexander's phone are moving completely together. They're both in the car. And then they both come to stop at the residence of Erica Sweet, where Ronny Walker was staying. Ronny Walker tried his best to clean his car, but missed some blood. And that blood connects to Nilexia Alexander and proves she was shot in that vehicle before getting out and ultimately shot in that vacant field. All of the evidence, ladies and gentlemen, points to Ronny Walker in that car. The car that on May the 6th of 2022, Nilexia Alexander made the wrong choice to get into. And ladies and gentlemen, at the conclusion of this case, the state is convinced that you will make the right choice and find Ronny Walker guilty as charged of first-degree premeditated murder. Thank you.
Defense manager.
May it please the court, counsel. Good morning, members of the jury. This is not a case of felony murder. It's not a case of a principle where you have two people working together to commit a crime. And the facts and the evidence is going to show that this is not a case where Ronny Walker killed Nilexia Alexander. The facts and the evidence are going to show that this is a case where one man, and one man only, is responsible for Nilexia Alexander's death, and that is Robert Quincy Creed. As you heard from Mr. Terry, I expect that you will get to hear from Mr. Creed. And I'm going to go through some of the circumstances under which Mr. Creed is facing charges. And I'm going to go through a little bit of the investigation and touch on some of the points that the prosecution left out during their opening statement. So forgive me if you see and hear some of the same things, but I'm asking you to look at it from a different perspective. So how does Mr. Walker get here? How does Ronny Walker get accused of first-degree premeditated murder facing the death penalty? Well, as Mr. Terry points out, it starts with that car, right? Shortly before 9 o'clock a.m. on May 6th, law enforcement responds to the area of Highland and Flora, Nebraska, and they locate the deceased, who later becomes known to them to be Nilexia Alexander. The first course of action that the detectives do is they canvass the area for video surveillance. And lo and behold, they see a vehicle traveling around the area, a black vehicle. You'll get to see some of these videos, I expect. This is a screenshot from that vehicle traveling on Highland Avenue. and they see a black vehicle and multiple cameras. So the vehicle becomes somewhat of an interest to them. The police continue to canvass the area. They go to several locations and they keep seeing this black vehicle. But they don't have a name, they don't have a face, they don't have a license plate. Eventually, their big break is when they learn that Nilexia Alexander has a phone number. A phone number that her mother did not know about. Nilexia kept this phone. Law enforcement learns about it from Nilexia's younger cousins. When they're able to pull the phone records from Nilexia Alexander's phone, they then are able to see different locations that she was at during this time period that law enforcement is interested in, right? We're talking about roughly 3 o'clock a.m. on May 6th and thereafter. One of the locations that they certainly find that Nilexia Alexander's phone is pinging to cell phone towers out is at Thornton's gas station. And they see that black vehicle. They see a driver in the black vehicle. They see a passenger in the black vehicle. This is captured at some time after the shooting occurs. This is the only video that you will see which shows either the driver or the passenger at or around the time of the shooting. So we know that there is a driver and a passenger at the time that this vehicle is at Thornton's. What we don't know is if there was a driver and a passenger before that. We don't know who was driving the car before that. The only evidence of that, quite frankly, is going to come from Robert Creed, and I'll talk about him a little bit more in a moment. Law enforcement continues to track the car, figuring out where else can they pull some video surveillance from. And again, we have that Tampa General Hospital video, and you'll see it may be a little bit difficult here, but the video will make it clearer. There's that passenger again, wearing those shorts that he was wearing in the Thornton's gas station video. So we know that that's the same person, and I expect Robert Creed will come in here and he will tell you that that is him at Thornton's, him at the gas station at Tampa General. They now are able to get a license plate number for that Ford, and that ultimately is what leads law enforcement to Ronny Walker. They go and they contact Mr. Walker. They come into contact with him where Mr. Walker is working. Mr. Walker is more than cooperative with them. He talks to law enforcement for hours. He gives them his DNA. He gives them his phone. He gives them his car. While Mr. Walker is talking to law enforcement, he tells them about his girlfriend, Erica, who happened just by coincidence to be showing up at the Ford Motor store or Ford Motor property at the very time where Mr. Walker is talking to law enforcement. And he tells law enforcement, there she is. Law enforcement talks to Erica Sweet. Law enforcement is able to get phone numbers for Ronny Walker. They're able to get a phone number for Erica Sweet. Law enforcement then pulls phone records for Mr. Walker, pulls phone records for Mr. Sweet. What the evidence is actually going to show is that Mr. Walker, in fact, did have a working phone at and around before and after the time of the shooting, back in back in May of 2022. And you can see there are multiple phone calls, text messages made on May 5th, May 6th, and the records will be introduced. You'll be able to see that clearly this phone was in use. Law enforcement then tries to cross-reference. Well, we have a phone number for Nilexia Alexander. We have the phone records for for Ronny Walker. And so let's see if the two are communicating. They are not. There is no crossover, no social media, no phone records, nothing to indicate that Mr. Walker even knew who Nilexia Alexander was. When they get the phone records for Erica Sweet, there are a couple of things that are of interest to law enforcement. One of them is going to be that there are some phone calls that are made around the time and in the early morning hours of the shooting. There are some text messages that are sent as well. What the evidence is going to show, members of the jury, is that those phone calls, those text messages, they were not made by Ronny Walker. They were not made by Erica Sweet. They were made by the person who had possession of that phone, Robert Creed. And you will know that because I expect you'll have a chance to see a text message sent from Mr. Creed to his cousin, telling his cousin, hey, this is Q. You will know that it's Robert Creed using the phone because I expect that you will hear some evidence that the phone numbers being used and being called, those are connected to Mr. Creed's family. No connection to Mr. Walker, no connection to Miss Sweet. Why is this going to be important? Because at the time when this phone is traveling in the same areas as Nilexia Alexander, we know the person in possession of this phone is not Mr. Walker, it is Robert Creed. This name, Robert Creed, started coming up a lot in the investigation. So naturally, Detective Wieland, who's the lead detective in the case, I expect you will hear from him, he then starts to look into Mr. Creed. He interviews Mr. Creed, he pulls phone records for Mr. Creed, and when he pulls the phone records for Mr. Creed, it's not to be minimized. It's not that there was some phone calls between Mr. Creed and Nilexia Alexander. You're going to see the phone records, and you're going to see starting as back as far as April 29th, 2022, so we're talking just a couple of days before the shooting, there are multiple phone calls, multiple text messages between Mr. Creed and or Nilexia Alexander. Either he's calling her or she's calling him or back and forth. And those phone contacts continue up until April 30th. And then after that, there's nothing else. But this is the connection that law enforcement was looking for. How did Nilexia Alexander end up in that black Ford? Well, now we know, because she was there to see Robert Creed. Again, absolutely no connection to Ronny Walker. The investigation continues. I expect the next thing that you're going to learn is that in June of 2022, law enforcement in the state attorney's office made the decision to charge Ronny Walker with first-degree murder. And they charge him essentially for a few different reasons. I expect you're going to hear Detective Wieland testify about this. One, it was Ronny Walker's car that is seen driving around the area. Two, Ronny Walker, they believed, was at the gas station at Thornton's sometime after the shooting. And three, the DNA that was found in the car. But I want to talk to you some more about the DNA. I'm going to go back a couple of slides. You're going to hear from someone who tested the DNA. You're going to hear from a DNA expert. And that person's going to explain a few things to you. One, they cannot say whether or not definitively that is blood that they located in the car. There are some chemical tests that they can do. Sometimes these chemicals can cause a false positive for blood. A cleaning agent, for example, can often cause a positive result for blood, even though it's not blood. So that's the first thing they'll tell you. Two, they cannot tell you whether or not that blood, if it is blood, belongs to Nilexia Alexander. They simply don't know. Even if there is blood there, if you have what is called a mixture, they can't tell you which person contributed that blood. So when Mr. Terry comes up here and tells you Nilexia Alexander's blood is found, the evidence will show something different. Three, when we talk about a mixture, it is not as though we are talking about the DNA gets in a particular location at the same time. What I expect you will hear from the DNA expert is that a mixture simply means is that one person's DNA is found in the same location as another person's. They can't tell you whose DNA got there first, whose DNA got there second, whether the DNA got there at the same time. Even though DNA evidence is quite powerful, there are limits to that DNA. Despite all of these things, right? Despite the fact that law enforcement believes that this is Ronny Walker's car, Ronny Walker's at the gas station, Ronny Walker is in the Tampa General Hospital with the same place as the phone, all of the same things you will hear are exactly true for Robert Creed. He's at the gas station. Robert Creed, and in fact, Robert Creed's the one with the connection to Nilexia Alexander. What I expect you're going to learn is that law enforcement has a bit of a problem at this point. They don't know what happened inside that car. They know that it's Ronny Walker's car, but that's about as much as they know. So I expect you're going to learn that at some point there is a second interview done with Robert Creed. During the first interview, Robert Creed denies knowing Nilexia Alexander. When they confront Robert Creed with the phone records, Robert Creed says, no, that's not true, that's not me, I don't know who this person is, I don't know anything about someone dying. The second time you hear that an interview is done with Mr. Creed, you're going to learn that at that point, the interview goes a little bit differently. Because what the evidence will show is that that interview starts off with a detective telling Mr. Creed, if you don't tell me that someone else did this, we're going to have to charge you with murder. What you're going to hear is that the detective tells Robert Creed that Ronny Walker's lawyers are pointing the finger at Mr. Creed, saying he's the one that killed Nilexia Alexander. And what the evidence is going to show is that the detective then says to Robert Creed, if Ronny Walker just shot and killed her in the car because he was mad at her, just tell me that. And then, and only then, you will hear that Robert Creed, for the first time, changes his story and says, that's exactly what happened. And from there on out, Robert Creed repeats what the detective had told him. You will then hear that Mr. Creed is interviewed multiple other times by other lawyers after he is arrested. And there are a couple of important things to keep in mind. Robert Creed is never arrested for the murder of Nilexia Alexander. He's not arrested as a principal. Again, this isn't a felony murder. The prosecution arrested one man and one man only, and that was Ronny Walker. They arrest Robert Creed for accessory after the fact. But I expect when Mr. Creed comes in here to testify, he's not going to be able to tell you what exactly he did as an accessory after the fact. He's going to come in here and tell you that he pled guilty, and the only reason he pled guilty is because he didn't want to go to prison for the next 30 years. And that if he comes in here and tells this story that was repeated to him by the detective, he believes he's going to get to go home. He's going to get a benefit for his testimony. And that's where the judge's instruction at the end of the case is going to come into play, when he talks to you about looking at this testimony with a very critical eye. Because at the end of the day, Robert Creed cannot be trusted. He has lied to law enforcement. He has changed his story. He's being a benefit for being here and testifying. And when you hear the details given to law enforcement by Robert Creed, because eventually Mr. Creed is pressed for details. Okay, well, tell me, where was Nilexia when she was shot? Where was Mr. Walker when he was shot? Those details are not going to add up with the evidence. Robert Creed is going to come in here and tell you that Ronny Walker was sitting in the driver's seat, had a gun in his left hand, turned around, and shot Nilexia Alexander in the car. And that's not going to add up with the evidence. There are going to be no bullet holes, no projectiles, no blood located in the interior of that car. And you're going to get a chance to see and hear about all of that. I expect, as Mr. Terry said, you're also going to hear about Stanley Wilson. And I won't spend too much time on Mr. Wilson other than to say you're going to learn quite quickly that the timeline given to you by Mr. Wilson is completely off. That when he's saying things are happening, it is verifiably true that it is not happening. And I'll give you an example. Mr. Wilson is going to tell you that he remembers he has a conversation with Mr. Walker where Mr. Walker supposedly confesses. And that conversation happens the day before Stanley Wilson turns himself into jail in Manatee County. He is emphatic about that. This conversation happens the day before I turn myself into Manatee County jail. What you're going to learn is that Mr. Wilson turns himself into Manatee County jail sometime in April of 2022, before the shooting even happened. So that is just one example of the fact that the timeline is not going to add up. You're going to hear that at the time that Mr. Wilson gives his statement to law enforcement, it's all over the news that Mr. Walker had been arrested. There are some details about the case that had been printed, and the details that Mr. Wilson gives are the exact details that were printed in an article about the case. You're also going to hear that Mr. Wilson, at the time that he gives his statement, he has lots of motive to try and give a statement, to try and help the prosecution convict a murderer. You're going to hear that Mr. Wilson was in a world of trouble. He had been in jail, bonded out, committed more crimes, bonded out, and he was about to have his bond revoked. He was about to be in a situation where he would have to go back to jail. And it is during that time frame that he has his lawyer reach out to the prosecution and tell the prosecution, hey, Stanley Wilson wants to provide you with this information. And sure enough, the very same day that Mr. Wilson provides this information, you will hear that the state of Florida drops their motion to revoke his bond and Stanley Wilson's able to remain out and about free. You will then hear that Mr. Wilson ends up getting a deal in his cases where he does some prison time, but not nearly as much prison time as his score sheet given to him reflected he should have. And part of that deal is that he, like Robert Creed, is required to be here and required to testify against Mr. Walker. So again, when it comes to that instruction, I expect the judge will give you at the end of the case, you will have every reason in the world to view Mr. Wilson's evidence as critically as you can. I'll repeat what I stated earlier. This is not a case where multiple people are involved in the killing of Ms. Alexander. There's one person arrested. The state of Florida has chosen that person to be Ronny Walker. The evidence is going to show that they have chosen wrong. Because all of the evidence, and when you go back to that deliberation room, you're going to have the evidence, the photographs, whatever videos, but you're also going to have your common sense. And that common sense is going to show you that Mr. Walker is innocent. He is as innocent as he is today, and he will remain innocent at the end of this case because the state of Florida will be unable to prove their burden. There is not a moment during this trial where the burden of proof will move from this table where these two prosecutors sit. There is not a moment during this trial where you should look to Mr. Walker to prove anything or to disprove anything or explain anything. Those are all the presumptions that you agreed to follow when you were selected as jurors. The judge at the end of the case will tell you you can find a reasonable doubt in the evidence, in the lack of evidence, and in any conflicts in the evidence. And at the end of the case, you are going to have reasonable doubt in all of these places. You're going to find that there's information given to the detective that he never followed up on. Because like I said, the evidence will show they got their man. They put all of their eggs in one basket, and that's what they stuck with. The evidence is going to show that it was not Mr. Walker that shot and killed Nilexia Alexander. It will show that that person was Robert Creed. Thank you for your time and attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, the court's going to take a 15-minute recess while we take care of some housekeeping matters. I'm going to get right into that first witness.
All right, for the jurors. Well, so it's not looking good. Let me pause there for a second. I can go through this now. There's an article here that says some stuff. So yeah, he was. This is the third time in his life that Walker sat before a jury. 15 years ago, another panel found him guilty of manslaughter. The case centered on a 2023 home invasion robbery in which a woman, Elaine Lanier Caldwell, was shot in her head. The killing remained unsolved for several years before Walker was charged with the murder. His first trial ended in a hung jury. A second panel in 2010 convicted him of the lesser manslaughter charge. He was condemned to spend the rest of his life in prison, but problems in that trial caused his conviction to be overturned on appeal. Lawyers then struck a deal with Walker to plead guilty in exchange for a new penalty of 8 years. He got out in 2016, but a probation violation sent him back to prison for 4 more years. He'd been out of prison for about 7 months when Nilexia was killed. So the jury won't hear about any of this unless it goes to the death penalty phase. If that happens, prosecutors will detail his prior conviction to argue that it is an aggravating factor that justifies a death penalty. They will also argue that Nilexia's death was especially heinous, atrocious and cruel, and that it was committed in a cold, calculated and premeditated manner. Apparently, some jurors acknowledged that it would be upsetting to hear details about the violent death of a young girl, but those selected vowed they could set aside any personal feelings and emotions to assess the case solely on the facts and the law. So this trial could last into July, so it's probably going to be a 2 to 3 week trial. So there you go. Right, we can skip this now to go straight back into it. Because we are not taking a break like they are. Are they back? Right, they are back. So this guy, okay, in the wheelchair is the first witness. So here we go. We'll get this in now. This is in just in case.
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So I'll be done. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you please state your full name for the record?
Eric Leonard Walker,
Sir, where do you currently live?
2926 Tampa Street.
Is that where you lived back in May of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
How long had you lived there?
I've been there 7 years.
Okay. Well, sir, I'd like to turn your attention to May the 6th of 2022, around 3:08 a.m.
Yep.
What were you doing around that time?
We was hanging out in the yard, gambling, hanging, smoking, family things.
Okay. Can you please get the microphone a little bit closer?
Okay.
And make sure it's on. Is it on? Is the green light on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you were just hanging out with other people?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember the people you were hanging out with?
It was several of us, a whole gang of us, because like I say, with that spot we hang out and be us.
Okay. And while you were spending time with other people, hanging out, what, if anything, of significance happened?
Well, we was walking towards the gate, coming out the gate, and it was a gunshot that caught our attention. Okay. So after the gunshot, we heard a few more. So a few more shots. Yes. So I got on the bicycle to circle the block to see what was going on. Okay. So as I got to the Highland and Florida, Nebraska, which is a dead end, I come down, because it's right by a house. You could yell across the gate. Okay. And I see somebody, a girl, laying on the side. So I yell and tell her I think there's a body back here. So I try to get help for her, running to door, trying to get help.
Did you have a cell phone?
I didn't have a cell phone at the time, okay. So I had to go back because nobody would answer the doors. But I was on the Ring cameras at people's houses. Okay. I think they called the police on me because I was knocking too hard. Okay. So I went back to get help for somebody to call 911 with me.
So who did you go to get help?
I went and got Terry, one of my friends, Maddox.
Okay. And how far away would you say she was from where you saw the body?
After both of us got there, we was at the road. We was standing in the road first before the 911 operator asked, could we go up there and see if she's alive? Okay. But now one of us wouldn't do it.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Would you say that from the time that you heard the 911 call, the shots, to the time you made the 911 call, there was a bit of a delay?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. I say it was probably like 5 to 6 minute delay because I had to come back around to go get some help.
Okay, but you don't really know. Did you have a watch? Were you paying attention to the time frame?
No, ma'am.
Okay, but you do know that there was a delay.
Yeah,
correct?
It was a delay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you saw this individual, did you recognize her as someone that you had seen before in the area?
I speculated it was one of the girls that be around there. You feel me? So
you speculated, but did you recognize the
No,
individual?
I didn't recognize her at all.
So you had never seen her before?
No, I never got up close to the girl until the 911 operator actually to try to get up there and see if she's living.
Okay, so while you make the 911 call, how do you get about the position where you make the 911 call? Was it Terry Maddox's phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did she make the call or did you make the call?
She made the call. Okay. I was still knocking on doors as she was making the call.
But ultimately, did you chime in and also speak during that 911 call and give more information to the 911 officer?
Yeah, because she was on speakerphone. She had the phone on speaker, and I could hear the operator. Okay. Like I say, she was trying to see if one of us would go up there to see if she was alive, but now one of us would do it.
But did you get closer and determine that she was not responsive?
No, I didn't get that close. You feel me? I just stepped right on the grass line, right outside the road. That's it.
And sir, this location, this Florida, Nebraska, and Highland, is that in Hillsborough County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes,
or actually, yes. Have I shown you photographs from the crime scene, sir?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, do you recognize these, the images in these photographs?
Yes.
Are they a fair and accurate representation of the location that you went to on May the 6th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the state would move into evidence State Exhibit A1 through 8. Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. Publishing State Exhibit A1. Is this the location that you went to, Florida, Nebraska, and Highland?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And can you describe that location for us?
Yeah, it's on the dead end. It's on the dead end. It's one house on the left hand side. Then it's an open field.
So it was like just an empty lot.
Yeah, just empty lot.
Okay. So State Exhibit A2, is this an accurate depiction of this empty lot area?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. A3, is this how you found the body?
Yes, ma'am.
A4?
Yes, ma'am.
In the time in which you saw this body and went back to get someone who had a phone, did the movement of was the body moved in any way?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
She was still the same.
She remained in that exact same
Yes,
position.
ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Did you tamper with any evidence in this case?
No, ma'am.
Did you move the body in any way?
No, ma'am.
Did you touch this body or shove this body?
No, ma'am.
Okay. State Exhibit A5. Okay. Again, is this another angle?
Yes, ma'am.
Getting a little closer.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
State Exhibit A7.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's get it clear. Okay. Okay. Did you have anything to do with the death of this individual?
No, ma'am.
And beyond hearing the gunshots and getting on your bike and looking to see if someone was injured, did you have any other involvement in this?
No, ma'am.
And after you called 911, did you stay on scene?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you give a statement to the initial officers when they asked you what you saw and what you heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Did Terry Maddox stay on scene and do the same?
Yes, ma'am.
Later on, did detectives arrive on scene?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they also interview you?
Yes, ma'am.
And was it recorded to your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you completely cooperate with the process?
Yes, ma'am.
And at the time, on May the 6th of 2022, were you in a wheelchair?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So at the time, you could walk, you could ride your bike, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And at the time, when you got on your bicycle and went into this location and saw this body, were there multiple people just
No.
around this body?
No,
Okay.
ma'am. The only one that showed up was the police, and we pointed
Okay.
where it was.
And that's all, to your knowledge, that's all the involvement. When the police arrived, then people started showing up.
Yeah,
Is
start
that
coming
correct?
out the door. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But before then, there were no civilians?
No civilians.
Okay. All right, Your Honor, may I have a moment?
You may.
All right, no further questions.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello.
Mr. Walker, you have no relation to Ronny Walker. is
No,
that
ma'am.
Right, just happened to have the same last name.
Yeah,
Wanted to make that clear.
yes, ma'am.
You're in a wheelchair today because you've had knee surgery.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you said you were kind of hanging out with some friends near where you live when you heard the gunshots.
Yes, ma'am.
This area at that time of night, we're talking sometime around or after 3 o'clock a.m., there's quite a few people out and about. Is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
And in fact, the reason why you hopped on your bike to go around the corner is because you wanted to check and make sure it was nobody that you knew that got hurt.
Well, that's not the question. What caught my attention was the gunshot.
Of course.
Okay.
After you heard the gunshots, you wanted to make sure that no one that you knew was involved.
Right.
Okay. And that's when you happened to come upon the young lady that was on the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you first saw her, tell me if I'm wrong, but would it have taken you, let's say, less than 5 minutes from where you heard the gunshots to the time that you actually go and see her?
Well, I traveled a couple of blocks over. You
Okay.
feel me? Just make the round back to where my area.
Okay, so we're talking a couple of
A
blocks and you're
couple
on
of
your
blocks.
bike.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then you try and get some help. Nobody will answer the door for you.
Yes, ma'am. I tried to get the help first. I started knocking on doors. My bicycle was in the middle of the street. You feel me?
Sure.
Okay, I started knocking on doors. Nobody would come to the door. All you see was lights coming
Right.
on. You feel me?
Okay. And that's when you decided to go back and get Miss Maddox?
Just get somebody else to help me.
And then when you went back to the scene with Miss Maddox, were you both on bikes at that point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so again, just a couple of minutes from that couple of blocks over?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So all in all, the time between when you heard the gunshots to the time that you called 911 or Miss Maddox calls 911, what is the time frame that we're looking at?
I say I give it like 5 to 8 minutes.
Okay. Can I have a moment, Your Honor? All right, nothing further. Thank you, Mr. Walker.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. Now, sir, today, is that the first time that you've had an opportunity to speak to me and Ms. Dunker?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And have you had an opportunity to listen to the 911 call?
No, ma'am.
Or watch any of the body worn camera?
No, ma'am.
Or to be fresh in the time frame in this case?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So if the evidence is that at 3:08 the gunshots were fired and the 911 call comes in at 3:58.
Can we approach her?
Come on up.
Scottish. People, Scottish jinxed it. No objections as of now. Ain't no bias, Bev. Scottish jinxed it, everybody. Right, is it too fast? I will slow it down. No, it's not this guy. I could put it back to 1 if it's a bit too fast for this, because we're gonna skip a lot of this anyway. So Scottish, you jinxed us, man. Let's type Scottish out. Hang on.
Okay, but you agree,
Ma'am.
and is it safe to say?
Here we go.
So you have been asked a lot about timing, and is it safe to say that on the day you didn't check your watch, correct?
No, ma'am.
You didn't ask the deputies, hey, what time is it? How long have I been riding around or anything?
No, ma'am.
So the time frame that we have is that the shots were fired at 3:08, and the 911 call that you ultimately got Terry Maddox to make was 3:58.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah. I have no idea.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're just doing the best you can.
Yes, I was just trying to get her some help. That's it.
Okay. But you acknowledge that you heard the shots, you talked to other people, is that correct?
Yeah, I didn't talk to nobody but Terry and the police.
Okay.
When I went back to get them, I told people, I said, I think it's somebody around.
Okay.
That was it.
All right. And then ultimately, you then had to look for someone to help you with the phone.
To go with me to help me.
All right. So there was, in fact, a delay.
Yes, ma'am.
And so when you use words like a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, you're just doing the best you can to give a time frame. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objection.
Free to go, so we can start talking about the case until it's over.
Yes, ma'am, sir. Okay. All right. Thank you.
He said, yes, ma'am, sir. Because the judge has got long hair. Oh, you gotta love it. This witness is cracking me up. Right, hang on, let's skip it to the next witness. Here we go. This is the next witness.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
Yes, my first name is Abby, my last name is Pittner.
Okay. And where do you work?
I work for the Tampa Police Department.
How long have you worked with the Tampa Police Department?
For 4 years.
What does your job entail?
Currently, I'm a field training officer. I primarily answer calls for service, conduct proactive activity, as well as training our new recruits.
Okay. Well, I'd like to turn your attention to May the 6th, 2022. Were you working that day?
Yes, I was.
In what capacity?
I was a patrol officer assigned to Zone 2, Sector F, District 3.
And what does that mean? What's the location?
Yes, so Zone 2 was my assigned area. I was responsible for covering calls, any kind of incidents that would come out in that area were my responsibility.
What is that area?
That area is Tampa Heights, so it's near Armature Works, south of MLK.
Okay. Well, I'd like to turn your attention to about 3:58 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a call for service that came in?
Yes, there was.
Okay. And based on that, what, if anything, did you do?
It came out in Zone 2, which, as I said, I was responsible for. So I was assigned to that call, and I made my way to the area of the call.
Okay. And about what time would you say you arrived at the area?
I arrived a little after 4. I believe it was around 4:03 a.m.
And were you the first officer to arrive?
Yes, I was.
Where exactly did you respond to?
So I responded to, I believe it was the 100 block of West Florabraska. It's Florabraska and Highland.
Okay. And is that in Hillsborough County?
Yes, it is.
When you arrived there, what, if anything, did you come in contact with anybody?
Yes, I did.
Who did you come in contact with?
I came in contact with our complainants for the original 911 call, which was Miss Maddox and Mr. Walker.
Eric Walker?
Yes, Eric Walker.
Okay. And when you came in contact with Eric Walker, what, if anything, did he do?
So I asked them to point me in the direction where they needed me, where they had observed the subject lying or the victim lying, and they pointed me in the direction of an empty lot.
Okay. And when you came in contact with Eric Walker, what was his general demeanor?
He definitely seemed agitated to me, maybe a little bit flustered or stressed. Okay. He was kind of pacing back and forth. I would say he was probably a little loud, which I view as an indicator of stress.
Okay. All right. And how about Terry Maddox?
She was very, very anxious, very agitated. Her face was red. glassy eyes as if she'd been crying. She was unable to sit still, kind of frantic.
Okay. So basically, to your point, did they seem surprised, shocked, upset?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so based on this, did you go to the location that they pointed out to you?
Yes, I did.
And what did you observe?
So the area where they directed me to was about mid-block on West Florabraska on the south side. It was an empty, vacant lot, mostly overgrown with grass. And upon approaching it, I immediately observed the female victim lying on her right side, about 5 to 6 feet from the roadway on the empty lot.
Okay. How did she appear?
She was lying still. Upon approaching her, I did not observe any signs of life. I didn't observe any chest rise or fall. She had glassy, fixed eyes. At that point, she appeared to have been deceased to me.
Okay. Did you observe any injury?
I did.
Can you describe that to us?
Yes. So she was lying on her right side with her arms kind of curled in, and I observed there to be a wound on the back left side of her head.
Okay. And did you observe any blood at this point?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you do anything to manipulate the crime scene?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you see Eric Walker or Terry Maddox do anything to manipulate or change the crime scene?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did Eric Walker stay for further interviews?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Did you speak with him further?
Yes.
And did you have your body-worn camera on at the time?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And was it activated?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And to your knowledge, when law enforcement have their body-worn cameras and they're activated and used, is that something that is in discovery also disclosed to the defense?
Yes.
Okay. And your body-worn camera was preserved, is that
Yes, it
correct?
was.
Okay. And to your knowledge, it was also disclosed to the defense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in that time, did you interview Eric Walker?
Yes, I did.
Did he answer all your questions?
Yes, he did.
Was it recorded via your body-worn camera?
Yes, it was.
While you are at the scene, does he still stay there waiting for other officers?
Yes, he did.
And to your knowledge, did he stay and was he interviewed by other officers?
Yes.
How about Terry Maddox, this other person who provided the phone?
Yes, she remained as well.
And was she interviewed as well?
She was.
By you?
Yes.
Okay. Was she interviewed after that by other detectives, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, yes, she was.
Okay. Now, while you are there, does another individual come to the crime scene to provide you with information?
Yes.
Who is that person?
That was Mr. Warren.
Is it Alan Wallace?
I'm sorry, Wallace. Yes, that would be
Okay.
correct. My apologies.
Does that help refresh your memory?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And when you come in contact with this individual, does he volunteer information to you, or is it a situation where you go and have to knock on his door to provide you with information?
No, he volunteered information. He approached me when I was standing by my vehicle.
Okay. And did you ask him questions?
I did.
Was he completely cooperative?
Yes.
Okay. And was the interview with Alan Wallace documented via your body-worn camera?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Now, after these interviews, did you interview anyone else?
No.
Did you stay at the crime scene?
Yes, I did.
Did you do anything to preserve the integrity of the crime scene?
Yes.
What is it that you did?
So I remained on scene. I blocked the entrance onto Florabraska for vehicle traffic, so nobody could come in or out of the crime scene.
Okay. At some point, quickly after you got to the scene, was crime scene tape put it up?
Yes, it was.
What's the purpose of that?
So the purpose of that is just to delineate our perimeter, so that way the public knows that this area is off limits. It's to assist us in keeping people out of the crime scene to preserve the evidence.
Okay. And at some point, to your knowledge, did other detectives, crime scene investigators also come to the scene?
Yes, they did.
And did they take over at that point, processing the scene, documenting the scene accordingly?
Yes.
Did you have any further involvement that day?
No.
Did you have any further involvement later on?
No.
Okay. Your Honor, may I have a moment? Ma'am, I'm showing you what is in evidence as State Exhibit A1. Is this an accurate depiction of the location you responded to?
Yes.
Okay. State Exhibit A7. Is this the condition of the body when you came upon it?
Yes.
Okay. And is it safe to say, State Exhibit A8, you did not put these crime scene markers down,
No.
correct? Okay. But while you're there, other law enforcement officers come, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And is it customary to document the scene accordingly and to put evidence markers?
Yes.
Okay. A moment, please. No further questions, Your Honor.
Ross?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
You were the first officer on scene, is that correct?
Yes.
obviously you do not know and you cannot control what happens to the scene prior to you getting there. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that's correct.
So if anyone was walking around, moved anything, touched anything, took anything away, you would have no knowledge of that?
Correct.
Okay. Now, after you get to the scene, obviously you make some efforts and your fellow officers make some efforts to ensure no one else is in the area.
Yes.
But when you got there were at least 2 people there, those people being Eric Walker and Terry Maddox.
Yes.
And the deceased was located sort of in an empty lot, but there are houses surrounding that lot, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Across the street, next door?
Yes.
This is sort of a lot that's been cleared maybe to build on or to something like that?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Can I have a moment, Your Honor? Okay, nothing else. Thank you, ma'am.
Can you read it?
No, Your Honor.
Minutes will be excused.
Yes.
That's again will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Deputy, if you can please state your full name and spell your last name for the record, please.
My name is Mark Montano, spelled Montano.
And how are you currently employed?
I'm employed with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been working with the Sheriff's Office?
Just under 26 years.
And in what capacity are you currently working with the Sheriff's Office?
My current job title is a digital evidence analyst, working in a discipline of forensic video analysis.
All right. Prior to that, what was your other work with the Sheriff's Office?
I started with the Sheriff's Office in 1999, working as a patrol deputy and detective.
All right. Now, if you can explain to the jury, what is forensic video analysis?
Forensic video analysis is the scientific examination, comparison, or evaluation of video in legal matters.
All right. And so can you tell the jury what exactly you do in the capacity that you serve for the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
Sure. I respond to major crime scenes to assist detectives with recovering video surveillance and other digital evidence from crime scenes.
All right. Now, you work for the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. This is a case that involves the Tampa Police Department. Do you sometimes work with them?
I do. On occasion, I'm requested to assist other agencies as well.
And you have no problem doing that? There's no conflict with the Sheriff's Office to assist other law enforcement agencies?
No, sir.
All right. Can you briefly summarize the training and experience you have that allows you to do what you do with the Sheriff's Office?
Sure. In addition to attending security conferences for approximately 10 years, I've sought certification and training for a few entities, one being the Law Enforcement Emergency Video Association. They offer a certification for different levels of forensic video analysis. I'm also certified through an organization referred to as NATIA, which is the National Association of Technical Investigators, where I've also obtained a certification for that as well. I've attended an entity referred to as a FLETC, which is a Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, in terms of recovering evidence from CCTV systems and otherwise.
Okay, so it's safe to say you're very knowledgeable in how to obtain videos, how to calculate the times on the videos, and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, can you explain to the jury how you first became involved in this case?
Sure. On May 6th, I was requested by Detective Weiland with the Tampa Police Department to assist them in recovering video surveillance from a scene where they were working a homicide investigation.
All right. And did you, in fact, go to that scene?
I did.
And did you, was there any particular location you went to look for a video camera?
I went to 3000 North Highland Lane. It was a residence.
Okay. And did you meet with the owner of the residence?
I did.
Okay. And what did you do when you got to that residence?
The owner allowed us entry into the residence to review their camera system that they had.
All right. And tell me about their camera system. What camera system did they have? Do you recall?
I don't recall the exact brand, but they had a camera system that encompassed 8 camera views, primarily on the exterior of the residence, which included 2 views at a minimum of the front of the residence.
All right. And did any of those views offer or at least appear to go towards the area where the victim had been located in this case?
2 of the cameras specifically seemed to point in a direction where the Tampa Police Department was conducting their homicide investigations.
All right. And were you able to download any video from that location?
I was.
All right. I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 7 for identification. Do you recognize what that is?
I do.
And what is that?
This is a camera angle that was of video footage from a camera angle from the front of the residence.
All right. And did you, in fact, recover that video?
I did.
And did this video fairly and accurately depict what it shows in that video?
There's one thing I'd like to add to this video. There's a time differential in that video that was also established upon looking at and reviewing the system. And from my memory, it's about 7 minutes and 55 seconds behind the actual time.
Okay, explain to the jury how you do that. What does that mean?
So most of these camera systems have a date and time stamp, and we've probably all seen it in the news before, or on TV or otherwise, or even on our own personal systems. Not all the time are these systems configured to be exact in a way that it embeds the date and time stamp, meaning there might be some delay, there might be some offset, and this is very common. So it's important to establish the date and time differential using what I refer to as a U.S. Naval Observatory time, which is a standard used for a reference in establishing that.
All right. And so with this particular video in State's Exhibit number 7 from 3000 North Highland Avenue, you did find that there was some differential between the actual time and what the time says on the recording.
That's correct.
And what was that differential again?
By memory, I'd like to say it's 7 minutes and 55 seconds behind.
Behind?
Yes.
So if it says on this that it was the car turns down the way around 3 o'clock, it was actually 3:07 on actual time. 3:07:55.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to be clear about that. Judge, move State's Exhibit number 7 into evidence.
No objection. It will be admitted without objection to State 7.
And Judge, may I publish it this time?
Thank you.
Now, while this is playing real quick, Deputy, the time here now shows 00-02-26. What time is that actually?
I'm not so good at doing this on the stand, to be honest with you, but it would be the reference that I made minus what the current time is.
Okay, but that's much earlier in the night. With that from when this allegedly occurs, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So I'm going to. So when you downloaded a significant time period. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And when you recorded this, you recorded basically what you downloaded on that day. Would that be accurate?
That's correct.
All right. So I'm going to fast forward here. Now we're at 2:59 and 19 seconds. So that's 2 a.m. or almost 3 a.m. But you're saying this is 7 minutes and 55 seconds back, so that's really closer to 3:08, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And that's when we see the vehicle come down that road?
Yes, sir.
And while this is going, Detective, this was the view from that house at 3000 North Highland where you obtained this video, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're now at, according to the timestamp on this, 3 o'clock, but that would be 3:07 and 55 seconds.
Approximately.
Now, Detective, there is what appears to be like a white, bright kind of line coming down. Do you know what that was?
I can't tell you what exactly it was, but from my experience, that's typically indicative of a spider web on the camera.
So if a spider web comes across the camera lens, it will pick up that reflecting light off the spider web?
It will reflect, precisely, it will reflect the IR light of the camera.
Okay. Now, Detective, were you asked to respond to any other locations while you were assisting in this investigation?
I was.
And where else did you respond to?
I also responded to the Radiant Church located at 3205 North Boulevard.
Now, is this area somewhat close to the location where the shooting occurred?
From my recollection, it was somewhere in the vicinity, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. And were you able to download video from that location?
I was.
And were you able to find video that demonstrated a vehicle that matched the kind of description of the vehicle that we had just seen?
I did.
Calls for hearsay.
I'm sorry, you can say that?
I did.
Okay. I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 11 for identification. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And how do you recognize it?
Those are my initials.
Okay. And did you in fact put this CD together for the office?
I did. Yes, sir.
And does it fairly and accurately depict what you were able to download on that day?
It does.
All right, judge moved to have State's Exhibit number 11 admitted into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
State's 11 will be admitted without objection.
The move to publish.
Granted.
Deputy, on this video, do you recall, was the time correct on this video?
No, sir, it was not.
Okay, what was the time differential on this video?
From my recollection right now, it was about 10 minutes and 47 seconds faster than U.S. Naval Observatory time.
All right, so hold on, let me go back here. Do you recall what the time was on this video when you downloaded it?
So placed on the disk are actually two different files. One of the files plays with the player that you're utilizing now. The other file plays with a proprietary software that allows you to actually see the time in the video.
Okay. And do you recall what the time was?
It's somewhere in the vicinity of 3 a.m. Onward. I don't recall the exact time.
This application wouldn't change it, would it?
No, sir.
So this is what we would have to rely on?
Yes, sir. I believe the application opened in the background if you minimize that one.
Okay. But either way, your recollection is that it was around 3 a.m. that you captured that car coming by?
Yes, sir. And if you'd expand that window there.
Expand this window?
Yes, sir. The reference of time is given there at the bottom
I see it
as
right
being
down here where it says
3:21.
3:21?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's back up a little bit. And you indicated that 3:21 is how much, what was the time differential? What was it off?
By memory, I'd like to say it's 10 minutes and 47 seconds.
Fast or slow?
Faster.
So, I'm not good with math either, but we're talking about around 3:10 a.m., basically.
Approximately, yes.
Okay. Deputy, were you asked to do anything else in this case?
I was.
And what was that?
Detective Weiland reached out to me and requested that I put a timeline compilation together of the videos that were collected in this case.
All right, and did you do that?
I did.
All right, I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 19. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And what is that?
I recognize my initials on the right-hand corner there.
And what is this a video of?
It's a timeline compilation of several videos that were acquired or recovered during the investigation, to include the last two that we just viewed.
And does this video fairly and accurately depict the combination of all the videos that you recovered on that day with reference to this vehicle?
Yes.
All right. Judge, moved that State's Exhibit number 19 admitted into evidence.
Any objection?
Can we approach?
No.
All right, Deputy, and other than what you've done as far as downloading these videos and creating this combination video with all of the other videos that have been were obtained, did you do anything else in this case?
No, sir.
All right, Judge, I have no further questions of Deputy Montano.
Good morning, Mr. Montano.
Good morning, ma'am.
You said you've been doing the digital evidence for how long with the Sheriff's Office?
Approximately 8 years.
Okay, and you said prior to that you worked as a patrol and then worked your way up and was a detective?
Yes, ma'am.
Before you got into the forensic side of it with the video evidence?
That's correct.
So you've had familiarity with conducting investigations, writing reports, things of that nature?
Yes.
Okay. And in this case, in reference to the investigation in Mr. Walker's case, did you ever author any kind of report related to what you did in the case?
Outside of email correspondences, my report is essentially limited to the photographs that are taken during the time of acquisition of the systems and whatnot.
What does that mean?
Essentially, during the assessment and collection of this video, there's things that are memorialized in the way of screenshots that will reference the date and time that I was at a location and whatnot. All the same things that would be in the report.
And are those part of the case file?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And do you write down or author anything related to what video you actually collected, what time frame you collected, and what the time differential might be?
So all that's memorialized in those screenshots as well.
But you don't author a report related to that?
The report would simply reference the same thing that the photographs do.
Did you review any of those photographs prior to today?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Okay, because when you were testifying earlier about the time differential in some of the video, including like the North Highland Lane, you said by memory.
Yes.
So were you referencing anything on the exact time differential between what the actual time is and what the time is reflected in the video surveillance?
Yes.
And what was that for the North Highland Lane?
Again, by memory, I'd like to say it's, and I'd have to refer to that screenshot as well, which accurately references the exact time differential. I'd have to refer to that again, but I believe it was approximately 7 minutes and 55 seconds.
But you're not sure
behind.
that's exact?
I'm fairly confident, but I'm not exact without referencing it again.
Okay, and you don't have that screenshot with you?
I may. It may be in a computer file.
Okay, but not with you while you're there on the stand?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And when you go to collect this evidence, this is a different law enforcement agency that you're assisting with, right?
Yes.
And so when you go out, you're not involved in the actual investigation of the case itself.
No, ma'am.
So as far as identifying any kind of suspect vehicle, what may have happened to a decedent, anything of that nature, you're not involved in that.
That's correct.
And you're not involved in that really when you get involved in cases for the sheriff's office either, typically.
To answer your question, I generally am responding out there to acquire the evidence and not necessarily analyze it or review it unless requested to do so.
Okay. And in this case, you weren't requested to do any analyzing of the video evidence.
I would ask that you narrow the question to what type of analyzing.
Will you tell me, what analyzing did you do of the video at 3000 North Highland Lane?
In terms of the video, I mean, analysis can go on infinitely. So essentially, my involvement was limited to establishing the how many cameras were connected to the system, the date and time of the system, how I was recording.
Okay, if it functions.
If what functions, I'm sorry.
The cameras, right?
Yes, ma'am.
If the cameras function and what those cameras capture.
Yes.
Okay, and that isn't anything that you need any specific training on. It's just basically you looking at what the camera system displays.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Okay, when you go into someone's house, are you looking at what their camera system shows you?
Yes.
Okay, and you're able to do that when they show you what their cameras collect, right? What angle it is?
Typically, I'm the one navigating the system.
Okay, so you're navigating the system for the homeowner?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the homeowner doesn't know what angles the camera captures?
I can't testify to that today. I would imagine they do. It's their system.
Okay, do you have any conversation with the homeowner like at 3000 North Highland Lane?
Outside of requesting permission to access the device, no, because my involvement is limited to the device and the functionality of the device.
And you said at that North Highland Lane, there were 8 camera views, but you only collected the camera views of the 2 from the front of the residence. Is that correct?
I collected more, but those were the only views that displayed the area where the investigation was being conducted.
Okay, so you collected views from all 8?
I'm inclined to say so.
Okay, do you know that for sure?
Not without referencing. I did. I will say this. I will say that, yes, I did collect all 8, going back to my memory, to answer your question.
Okay, but you don't write any report saying you collected from all 8?
No, again, it's limited to the screenshots, which essentially illustrate the same thing.
Okay. And when the state was asking you about the view from that video surveillance at North Highland Lane, you said what was shown in the video is typical of a spider web. Did you actually go out and physically look at the camera at all?
I'm sure I did at some point, but I didn't get so close to notate that it was in fact a spider web.
Do you all take any photographs of the cameras or the camera angles from where you're capturing?
Yes.
And when the state was asking you about the time frame and you said you're not good doing this on the stand, you're talking about subtracting or adding from what the timestamp you're seeing on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so when you're talking about what the relevant time frame is in the case, since you're not conducting the investigation, you're leaning on what the detectives are telling you is the relevant time frame. Is that right?
That's correct.
And typically what you all do is you collect a time frame before their target time and a time frame after, correct?
Yes, ma'am. By standard practice, I typically will go and recover. I typically will put a buffer of. It really depends on the case, but and what's being told to me at that time. Sometimes if it's 5 minutes, sometimes I might add 5 at the front and 5 at the back to really compensate for a time differential.
Okay, and in this case, in the Highland, the 3000 North Highland Lane, do you know what time frame you collected?
I'm inclined to say from about midnight to when the Tampa Police Department's response was to the scene.
Do you know that for sure?
Yes.
Okay. And then the 3205 North Boulevard, the Radiant Church as well. Like these locations that you're going to, these are identified by the investigators that are investigating the case, and then you're just called out to that specific location.
That's correct.
You're not yourself walking the neighborhood and looking to see where cameras are.
Sometimes I do, but not in this instance.
Okay. And so when you go to that North Boulevard, the 3205 North Boulevard that we saw in States 11, same thing. You said it was a time differential of 10 minutes and 47 seconds. The camera was faster than what the actual time frame is.
Approximately.
Okay. Are you involved in doing any kind of enhancement to any of these videos to be able to see anything clearer?
On occasion, it's requested, yes.
Was that requested in this case for any of the video that you observed?
It was requested, and essentially to review it during the process of reviewing it, and that could actually be done utilizing this a standard player here, where it allows you to essentially zoom in a little bit.
Okay. So other than being able to zoom in, was there anything else that you did to enhance any of the video?
Not that I can recall right now. No.
If I could have one moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing further.
Can you redirect?
Yes, sir. And Deputy, other than the zooming, nobody asked you or to enhance any videos, correct?
No, sir.
All right. Deputy, in preparation for your testimony today, did you send me an email kind of outlining some of the stuff you did or the stuff you did?
Yes.
Right. And if I show you that, would that maybe refresh your recollection as to the exact time differential there was from that 3000 North Highland video?
It would.
Okay.
I wonder if we could just see what he's showing
Yeah.
what it is.
If I could read to the court.
No, you don't need to read it. I'm just asking, does that refresh your recollection?
It does.
Okay. And Deputy, now that your recollection is refreshed, what was the exact time difference?
I'm sorry, can I say it one more time?
Yes.
It's 7 minutes and 55 seconds behind for the address of 3000 Highland Lane.
So that's what you had testified to earlier. So that's what you wrote down. That's what you recall. It is 7 minutes and 55 seconds behind.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. I don't need further questions.
May this one speak to you?
No objection.
No objection.
Trace Lefferman, document 2, or we can recess for 5 minutes.
Can I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Walls, we appreciate all your efforts to be here today. Thank you very much.
Of course.
I don't have any other questions for you.
May we redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Now, sir, you have been asked if you saw the driver's side door open. Did you see it open or closed? Could you see from that vantage point anything beyond the car?
Okay, that was weird. What? We missed something here then. It's just we don't have pictures. Hang on. I'll have to just do it this way. That is weird. Let's see if we can hear anything. No, nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. See you, Bella. You seem to be muted. Here we go, back here, right. I don't know, where did I? Bella, thank you. Before you go, thank you for the PayPal, Bella. Thank you so much for the PayPal. I just saw it now. Thank you, Bella. I hope you're still here, Bella. I'll message you back. Bella, send me a PayPal. Thank you so much. Oh shit, she's probably gone, but yeah, Bella, sorry, I'll message you back here now. Thank you, Bella.
All right, and so then at about just shortly before 3 o'clock a.m. on the video time, we see that car going back, correct?
Correct.
See anyone.
Yes, that's correct.
And immediately after those gunshots, that car takes off, correct?
Yes.
This intersection, and in fact, this area, I think you said a couple of times, is a little bit of a sketchy area, correct?
Yes.
And that particular cul-de-sac area is sort of known, or there's often a lot of drug activity down there.
I'd say so, yes.
Okay. Can I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Walls, we appreciate all your efforts to be here today. Thank you very much.
Of course.
I don't have any other questions for you.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Now, sir, you have been asked if you saw the driver's side door open. Did you see it open or closed? Could you see from that vantage point anything beyond the car?
No.
Okay. And as it pertains, so you can't tell us today whether the driver's side door opened or closed, is that correct?
No, I can't because at some point I was ducking down, looking at, but I never once saw any of that, no.
Okay. And you can't say either way regarding the passenger side, correct?
No, I can't.
Okay. But can you tell us categorically whether or not there were any other vehicles at the exact same time at the time of the shots?
No.
Okay. And that means, that for the record, you're saying there were no other vehicles at the time of the shots, is that correct?
For the record, there was no, around that time period, there was no other vehicles that were in that vicinity that the shots could have came from.
Okay. And now, sir, at the time of this incident in May of 2022, were you a convicted felon then?
No.
Okay. And you were the one who spoke to law enforcement, approached law enforcement, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
All right, this is what it be excused.
I have no objection to that.
It seems this trial likes to mute it. And then not unmute after. This is going to annoy the shit into me. We did, lovely, we did. Jury coming back in. Here we go.
Look at it. Is this, in its entirety, video from your Ring camera?
Yes.
Okay, it's an accurate depiction of what you would have given the police access to, is that correct?
Yes.
Is it motion activated?
Yes.
Okay, okay, so if there was no further movement, we wouldn't see the car move or anything else, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the state would move into evidence 3A1.
No objection.
And it'll be admitted as stage 3A, no objection.
State has no further questions.
Cross?
They already did cross
No,
those
that's
redirect.
cross. You redirect?
No
Yeah,
further questions.
with that. Next question on the list, minutes will be released.
Yes. Yes.
Member Friedman.
Thank you.
State and call your next witness.
State Call Detective Aaron Campbell.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective, if you could please tell the jury your name.
Aaron Campbell.
And how are you employed, sir?
I'm a sergeant with Tampa Police Department.
How long have you been working as a sergeant with the Tampa Police Department?
Well, I've been with Tampa Police Department since 2010. Was a detective for quite a while, corporal for a while, and now sergeant.
All right. And I've been calling you detective. I apologize.
No,
Sorry.
no issues.
All right. And that's a promotion, I guess, from detective. Is that
It
right?
is.
All right. Now, sir, what back in 2022, what position did you hold at the Tampa Police Department?
Detective within the homicide unit at Tampa Police Department.
All right. And what are the general duties of a homicide detective?
To conduct death investigations and specifically homicide death investigations.
All right. Back in 2022, how long had you been working as a homicide detective?
Oh, got to think of what year I went over there. I think I went over there in 21 is I think when I went over there.
Okay. Prior to TPD, did you have other law enforcement experience?
Yeah, I started Polk County Sheriff's Office in 1998. Left there in 2010 to come to Tampa PD and spent the majority of the time in homicide there.
All right. Now, were you involved in the investigation to the death of Nilexia Alexander?
I was.
When you all, as a homicide unit, are you detectives assigned specific jobs?
Yes, typically we are, yes.
Okay. And explain to the jury what some of those jobs are when a homicide investigation begins.
So typically when you go to a homicide scene, homicide unit, let's say us, for example, about a dozen detectives, and it goes through a rotation of who is lead, and it's just next up. Well, of course, you can't do everything by yourself, so we'll assign other detectives, and typically other roles is going to be a lead detective, a second to assist the lead. Somebody's going to be assigned to do the crime scene. If the crime scene is extremely large, then we may put a second detective with that as well, and then oftentimes we'll bring out other resources as needed for video collection or whatever might be needed at that time.
So as a whole, though, you all generally work together as a unit, but you do have certain people who lead specific parts of the investigation. Would that be all right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, on this particular investigation, were you assigned any particular duties?
Yes, I was assigned to scene that day.
The scene?
The scene, yes, sir.
Explain to the jury what the duties are of a crime scene detective.
So I'm going to get on scene. Of course, I'm going to meet with people, be briefed on what is known at that time. I'm going to be shown the scene, and then at my direction, I'm going to work with our crime scene analyst, and we're going to go through that scene, mark evidence, collect evidence, but photograph evidence.
All right. Did you go out to the scene in this particular case?
I did.
Do you recall at what time you arrived to the scene?
Yeah, it was 5:35, I believe it was, in the morning.
All right. And was it dark when you arrived?
It was.
All right. And this was in May of 2022, correct?
It was.
All right. If you can, kind of describe to the jury what you saw when you arrived, what you did when you arrived, kind of just go through the basics of that.
Yeah, so I arrived in the area of 109, 110 West Nebraska Avenue. It was an abandoned lot on the south side of the roadway. We had a female victim lying in that open lot area. So at that point, everything had already been secured by crime scene tape prior to my arrival, and it was going through and determining items of importance to just document and to ultimately collect.
All right, I'm going to show you what's already been introduced as State's Exhibit 36A. Take a look behind you. Do you recognize that location?
Yes, I do. That blue little marker up there, that would be the vacant lot I was just referring to.
All right. And the roadway there that's by that blue dot that says West Florabraska Avenue, is that basically the road that it was?
Yep, that is the road.
All right. And this occurred on, and so you went out there, and this is on Highland and Florabraska, right?
Yeah, the closest intersection or corner, there's Highlands and Florabraska.
And so State's Exhibit number A1, that's kind of the marker of where you all work, correct?
That is.
All right. Now, when you are setting up a crime scene, what are your duties? What kind of things are you going to do once you've made your initial view of the crime scene and looked at it? What do you start doing?
Well, we're going to do an initial walk through the crime scene, kind of get a lay of the land, so to say, and then we're going to start marking specific items of evidence with evidence markers, mostly for organization purposes.
All right, and you said you lay out markers, correct?
We do.
Do you also do kind of a crime scene diagram from time to time?
I do.
And when you do a crime scene diagram, do you have a specific location from which you make your measurements?
You try to pick a fixed marker that is not going to leave and be gone in a month or 2 months or maybe even a year. So for this particular one, I pick a telephone pole to measure everything from.
All right, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit A2. Is that in fact the telephone pole you use in order to make your measurements?
That is.
All right. Now, when you're out there, you work with, I believe you might have said this already, you work with other crime scene investigators? And
yes.
Do you kind of direct them as to what you want collected, what you want photographed? Is that how it works?
That's correct.
All right. Prior to evidence markers being placed down, do you all photograph the scene as it looks before anything is marked as evidence?
We do. They do overalls.
Okay. So I'm going to show you A3. Is this one of those overalls that you did?
It is.
And what are you documenting here with this photograph?
The scene as it was found.
All right. So this is prior to any markers being placed down, prior to you all actually kind of going around and really inspecting it. This is just kind of what it looks like
That's
when you
correct.
arrive. Okay. And then A4, this is kind of the same thing, just from a different angle.
Yep.
All right. Now, after you have done the photographs of the overall, and obviously in this particular case, do you also photograph the objects and stuff prior to putting markers down as well, usually?
We do.
Okay. Now, once you start laying the markers down, do you then do photographs with the evidence markers also in place?
We do.
So I'm showing you what's marked and been introduced as State's Exhibit A5. Are these in fact some of an example of the markers being placed down that indicate pieces of evidence that you believe may or may not be relevant, but you mark them anyhow? Is that right?
That's correct.
So, and let me go back to that and ask you that. So when you mark these things, what information do you have about the case?
Depending on the information gathered in the beginning, it can be very little to a lot. At this point, we knew we had a dead female laying there. It appears to be a homicide, but that's all the information that we had at the time.
All right. And so do you know, like, everything there, what it will be or may not be relevant down the road?
No idea.
Okay, but do you mark things just kind of as a precaution and take them into evidence?
That's correct.
Okay. And what's already been introduced as State's A6, again, just another angle showing, again, more markers now in place around the victim's bodies, all right?
Yes.
All right. Now, Detective, I'm going to approach real quick and show you what is marked as States A9 through A57, and after you can just take a quick look through those and see if you recognize those.
I have no objection to these being introduced.
All right, so you move without objection.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
A9 through A7.
Yes. And just kind of quickly, just make sure you do recognize all of them before I start asking you questions about them all.
Yeah, they all appear to be all the photos that we had taken out there that day, documenting the evidence. Yeah, these are all photos taken by crime scene that day at the scene.
All right. And when you say taken by crime scene, so you didn't actually physically take these pictures, did you?
No, I took no pictures.
Okay. But are you present when the pictures are being taken?
I am.
And do you often work in concert with the crime scene investigator to determine what it is that you want pictures taken of?
We do.
Okay. All right, so let me go now to State's Exhibit number A10 and ask you, what are we looking at in this picture?
A10, we're looking at, let me look at my sheet here because sometimes things show more than one thing on there. So this is A10 on the evidence list, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, so A10 is going to be a shell casing.
Is there a shell casing in there?
Well, you said A10. I'm looking on my sheet. It says shell casing.
Oh, you know what? This is not, I'm sorry, not your A10. This is
Okay.
the court's or State's Exhibit A10, so
Okay,
it's a different thing.
you probably have a different number then. I know what my A10 is.
Well, how about I pass this, and I know where we can go to where you will understand what it is. Let's look at A11. These are markings for the court.
Yes, A11 is suspected blood droppings.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. So this is what you believed, and this is still on the road. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And for instance, when we look at State's A12, that kind of gives you a more clear picture that it is, in fact,
Yeah.
on the road, correct?
Yes, it does.
All right, and so you all saw that evening or that morning when you were out there and laid that marker down to take a picture and document that.
We
is that
did.
right? All right. Then State's A13, just kind of another angle of that. It
Yep.
shows the relative distance between markers 1, 2, and 3, correct?
It does.
All right. Then A14, what are we looking at here?
You're looking at two things there. You're looking at suspected blood on 2, and on number 3, we're looking at a shell casing.
Okay. So here there's 2 specific items that you are marking so that it can be clear. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. And so in A15, this is a more close-up view of marker 2. Is that right?
Yeah, so blood spatter on a leaf.
Okay. In A16, would that be even a more close-up view of that?
Yep, same picture, yeah, so closer up view.
All right. We said 3 was a casing, correct?
Shell casing.
So if we look at State's Exhibit A15, I'll zoom in a little bit here so it's more clearly visible.
Yes,
Is that in fact the shell casing you all found out there that night?
it is.
Right. Now, when you find a piece of evidence like this, do you take that into evidence? Like, do you take it into custody, basically?
We do.
All right. How do you all do that?
The crime scene will collect that piece of evidence, place it in an envelope. It'll go back to the office, get entered into evidence. It can also undergo testing in-house for NIBIN and other types of things, and eventually goes off to generally Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
Okay, Florida Department of Law Enforcement. So you'll send them out there maybe to make like comparisons, things like that?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit A17, and what are we looking at in this particular picture?
Well, you're looking at a couple things here. Most notably is going to be that tropical fantasy pineapple bottle here, and a cell phone charging cord or USB charging cord.
All right. And an A18?
More of a close-up of the LG cell phone charging cord.
All right. And again, all of this stuff was just how you found it when you arrived on the scene?
Exactly as it was, yes, sir.
All right. Now, this charging cord, did you mark and take that into evidence as well?
We did.
All right, and does State's Exhibit A19 show what marker number that was?
Yep, number 6.
All right. And the bottle, did you mark and take that into evidence as well?
Yep, we did. We listed it as number 5.
All right. And A20, is that kind of an indication of how you all marked it?
It is.
Now, at a certain point, when the medical examiner arrives, do you all move the body to ascertain whether or not there may be evidence underneath the victim's body?
We do.
Now, you all wait until the medical examiner arrives to touch the body. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, when the medical examiner is going to respond, and they were in this case, then we do wait.
Okay. And I'm showing you State's Exhibit A21. Was this the location where the body had been before it was moved?
It is.
And does that kind of document that there was nothing of evidentiary value that was located underneath her head, correct?
That's correct.
Now, when you were looking at the victim's body, did you all discover that there was some piece of evidence that may have been located on her body, actually?
Yeah, we did. think you're referring to a shell casing that was kind of on her side and near a pocket.
Okay, so I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit A22. Do we see what you were referring to in this picture?
Yeah, we do. You can see it right here in the corner. It's a shiny object that's kind of in the corner of her pocket, and it's a shell casing.
And tell the jury, for those jurors who may not know what a shell casing is, what is a shell casing, basically?
So you have a bullet, which would go inside of a gun, and the shell casing contains a primer as well as gunpowder. Then fitted inside of that shell casing is a projectile, which is what's referred to as a bullet. So when the gun fires, the casing can do one of two things. If it's a revolver, it can remain in the gun. If it's a semi-automatic pistol, it would be ejected from the gun, and then the projectile would leave the barrel towards wherever it had been pointed at that time. But what we often find at crime scenes are the shell casings of the expended round once the bullet has been fired.
Okay, so this is not uncommon to find shell casings in an area where a gun had been fired?
No, not at all.
All right. In A23, is that just more of a close-up picture of that shell casing that you all were attempting?
It is.
All right. And then that is marked as well, correct? So that you all have it for, so you can know exactly on a diagram where it is?
That's correct.
And so what number was this one marked as?
I believe that was number 8.
So A24, would that be?
Yep, that's it right there.
Photograph of number 8 with the projectile. And A25?
Just a close-up of the shell casing.
Okay. A26, marker number 7. What are we looking at in marker number 7?
Number 7 is what appears to be tire impressions, possibly left by a bicycle.
All right. Now, at that point in time, when you marked that and took that, did you know how the victim had arrived on scene?
We had no idea.
So, in your mind, that could have become relevant if the victim had maybe ridden there on a bike, or and someone had come and found her on a bike?
Absolutely. It was there. It was in the area, and we documented it.
So that's kind of an example of how sometimes you'll document things that may not have any relevance down the road, but at least you make sure that you have it documented.
That's correct.
Okay. When you all were out there at the scene, did you attempt to identify who the victim was at the time?
I believe they did try to do rapid ID at the scene. I don't remember what the results were of it.
All right. Do you also look for sometimes markings on the victim's body or whatever that could help lead to identification?
Sure, tattoos, marks, things like that.
All right. I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit A27. Why? What is the purpose of this picture?
Just to document the tattoo of Arthur on her arm.
And that was on her arm?
Yep.
All right. Now, while you were out at the scene, you had just described that it was dark. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. So at that time, while it was dark, was that basically all the evidence that you had located?
It was.
Okay. Did you feel like at that point in time there was nothing else to see there, and you all wrapped up the crime scene and the body was taken?
That's correct.
Now, where is the body taken at that point?
To the medical examiner's office.
Is that where they conduct an autopsy?
It is.
Do detectives sometimes attend those autopsies?
We do.
Did you attend this autopsy?
I did.
And so you left the crime scene, and did you go straight to the autopsy?
I did.
Okay. Were the victim's clothing taken at the autopsy?
Yes, they were.
And were they photographed?
They were.
And were you present when they were photographed?
I was.
All right. Showing you A53. What are we looking at here?
Yep, that's okay. The clothing items that she was wearing at the scene.
All right. And then A54?
Same thing, close up of the top.
Right. Then A55?
Close up of the shirt.
All right, A56. Are you trying to identify or show something in this particular picture?
I think it's just a close up showing possible blood spatter and those types of things right there.
All right. Were any in showing you A57?
Yeah, you can see what appears to be a possible bullet hole entrance or some kind of deformation in the shirt.
Okay, so that's what you're trying to annotate in that picture, is that a potential bullet hole entrance in the shirt. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, after you were done conducting, or after you were done attending the autopsy, what did you do at that point?
I actually drove back out to the crime scene.
Okay. Now, before I get to that, I remember another question I was going to ask you. When you found the charger, did you all ever find a phone?
No, we never found a cell phone.
Okay, not on the victim's person or anywhere around the victim?
Not at the scene, not at the autopsy. We never found a cell phone.
All right. Now, you indicated you went back out to the crime scene. Is that normal?
At times it is. we're out there, it's dark. These shell casings and small things are incredibly hard to see, especially with these flashlights we're using today. They are bright, almost beyond measure, and it's this bluish hue, and sometimes with the aid of natural light, you can see things that you just weren't able to see before.
All right. So you went back out there, I guess, when it was light so that you could see a little bit better?
I did.
And did you go walk around the scene?
I did.
Did you have a crime scene investigator with you also?
Not initially. I did make discoveries and then called crime scene out.
Okay, so when you went back out, you did see some things that you had not seen before, is that right?
I did.
All right. Showing you A28. I know it's hard to see, like you were describing how it can be hard to see. Did you notice anything there that you saw?
Yeah, it's a shell casing.
And if you could maybe stand up and kind of show.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Kind of indicates, so it's like
Right
kind of,
in this area right here.
it's almost right in the center of that screen.
It is.
All right. Then A29.
Yep. Right in this area right here's another shell casing.
Okay. And did you, now, when you've discovered this other shell casing, did you contact crime scene to come back out?
I did.
And did you mark and document this evidence as well?
We did.
All right. Showing you A30. Was that the number you marked that particular shell casing
It
with?
is.
And what number is that?
Number 9.
Right. Did you locate another shell casing while you were out there?
I did.
I'm showing you A32. Does that appear to be the other shell casing you noticed?
Yes, it is. It's right here in the leaf litter.
Again, right in the center pretty much of the screen, correct?
It is.
And was that shell casing marked as well?
Yeah, number 10.
So I'm showing you State's Exhibit A33. That shows the marker of number 10?
Yes, sir.
All right. In A34, what are we looking at there?
Just shows where the two shell casings were located nearly together.
Okay. So it kind of gives you a, sort of a distance, and it was off the road, is correct?
It was.
All right. Did you find anything else in your search out there that when you came back in the day?
Yeah, I did. I located 2 projectiles.
Okay. Now A35, I'm pretty certain that from this picture we're not going to really see those projectiles.
I don't think so, no, sir.
Okay, but this is kind of what the lot looked like when you went out there that afternoon?
Yep, very much so.
Right. And A36.
Yeah, it's still not easy to see, but that's a projectile right here, kind of in the dirt. It's got a half covered with dirt itself.
Okay. So that's, again, a projectile is the bullet that's actually fired.
That is.
So that
correct.
bullet had been fired out of that firearm, or out of a firearm.
Yes, that's correct.
In A37, is that just more a close-up of that bullet?
Yes, it is.
Were those projectiles, were they marked as well?
They were. It was marked number 10 and number 11.
Or number 10, wasn't 10 a casing?
Excuse me, 11 and 12.
Okay. And so A38 shows marker of 11?
Yes.
And did you find anything else?
One additional projectile.
All right. Showing you State's Exhibit A48.
Yeah, you can kind of see it right here underneath this little bit of grass.
All right. And A49, so just a more close-up view of that?
Yep, the same.
And again, is that marked for later identification
It is.
purposes?
It's marked with number 12.
All right, and so State's Exhibit A50, is that the projectile with the marker?
Yes, yes, sir, it is.
All right. Now these items, they are, in fact, that you find out there, taken into, or diagrammed first. Let me get into the diagram first. You all diagrammed it, is that
Sure,
right?
yes, I diagrammed it.
Okay, and when you had mentioned earlier that you use the telephone pole, that gives you the distance, so there's a central spot where you can say where everything is from?
That's correct.
I'm showing you what's marked as State's Exhibit number 2 for identification. Do you recognize that?
I do. It's the diagram of the scene along with the markers and the distances from that pole to each one of the items.
All right. Does that fairly and accurately depict the crime scene diagram you put together for this case?
It does.
All right, Judge, at this time, move to State's Exhibit number 2, admitted into evidence.
Objection. All right, it'll be admitted in States 2 without objection.
All right, so Just to be clear on this, where this says 100 block of West Flora, Nebraska, and there's a gray kind of line like that, what is that supposed to indicate?
Just the roadway.
All right, so that's kind of the pavement or the street type area?
It is.
All right. Now, if you could, so all those markers that we've seen in those previous pictures that are numbered, is that what we are seeing here on this diagram?
Yes, you are.
And so it gives sort of a general location. So, for instance, 1, which is suspected blood, you have it marked right there, kind of almost on the road.
I do.
Okay. Now, 3. So at the morning scene when you were out there, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
That's
7
correct.
are those tire tracks, correct?
That's correct.
All right. What is 4 in this particular diagram?
That would be the body.
Okay. And 3, what is 3?
3 is a shell casing.
A shell casing. 8?
8 is, I believe, also a shell casing. Let me get my legend out, please.
Sure.
8 is a shell casing.
And that in fact was a shell casing that was found on.
That was kind of the one that was kind of in the corner of her pocket.
All right. And then 5 would represent is that the bottle?
That is the tropical fantasy pineapple bottle.
And 6 would be that charger?
Yes, it is.
And then later on, when you came back out later, that is when you discovered 9 and 10 and 11 and 12. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right. So these items that we've diagrammed, that you have demonstrated through the diagrams and through the pictures, those items, some of those items were in fact taken into evidence, correct?
That's correct.
All right. I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit number 22 for identification. Leader's gloves. Yeah, right there. Can you do that?
Yeah. Bear with me, these are not even close to the right size. You might be using these as mittens. Oh, yeah, please, thank you, buddy.
That's a little better.
Much better.
All right, if you could just take a look in there and just look at it, but don't take it out yet, so you can see.
It's the tropical fantasy pineapple bottle.
All right, and does it appear to be in pretty much the same condition as when you took it into evidence?
Yeah.
All right, move that State's Exhibit 22 of it into evidence. All right, can you take the bottle out now, just so that we can take a look at it?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the liquid in it had been drained, correct?
That's correct.
Can you tell if it's been dusted for prints?
It certainly has some type of processing done to it for certain. There's definitely a black powder. It appears to be all over it, and it looks like some type of possible ridge indentations from hand palm or something else.
But you didn't dust it?
No, I did not.
Right. That's done by the crime scene.
It is.
All right, thank you. I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 23 now.
Yeah, change right gloves.
Yeah, for sure. Can you take a look inside there and see if you recognize what that is?
This is going to be the phone charger.
All right. Does it, based on your view of it, does it appear to be in the same or substantially the same conditions when you took it into evidence?
Yeah, it does.
Should I move that State's Exhibit 23 of it into evidence?
No objection.
All right, you can remove it. All right, and then I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 32A.
Yes, sir.
Can you, just by the outside of the package, does it indicate what it is?
It does. It's going to be 2 9mm shell casings.
Does it say where they were obtained from or what their location was or anything like that? Or it doesn't?
Yeah, it's item number 4A and 4B here. But
Let me, hold on, let me start with
see if we can do
32B.
32B?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to withdraw that for right now. 32B, do you recognize what that is?
Yeah, 2 9mm shell casings, number 3 and number 8.
Okay. So does that correspond with the markings from your diagram of shell casings?
It does.
2 and number 3? Or
It
I'm sorry,
does.
3 and number 8?
It does.
All right, can you take them out and take them down?
Yeah, see, each one has a shell casing in it.
Okay. And they appear to be in the same or substantially same condition as when
They do.
they were taken into evidence?
They do.
Judge moved to have State's Exhibit E admitted into evidence.
32 will be admitted for the state without objection.
Publishing, so.
Hmm?
Publishing. So this is the one from number 8. Now the markings on the projectile itself, you did not do those markings?
No, sir.
Okay, do you know who or how it was done, or could
I do not.
Okay. Were these items sent to be tested?
Yeah, they were sent to Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
And the other shell casing? And these are both of the same caliber, is that correct?
That's correct.
This one says number 3. Now going back to 32A, are these in fact the other shell casings that were collected on that day?
Yes, they are the ones from collected from that day.
Those are the ones you came out to later on.
Yeah.
The sun was out that you were able to find them.
That's correct. Even noted on there, located east of the pole.
Right, and are they in a substantially the same condition as when you took them into evidence on that day?
They are.
All right, Judge moved out State's Exhibit number 32, I'm sorry, 32A admitted into evidence.
No objection. 32A will be admitted for the state without objection.
Judge, I'm sorry, may I publish?
Granted.
Okay. And again, these were 9mm casings, is that right?
That's correct.
Now, were these also sent out to FDLE for further testing?
They were.
And as a crime scene detective, are you also sometimes involved in what evidence gets sent out to FDLE for testing?
I am.
Okay. And finally, I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit number 33. Can you take a look at that?
Yeah, these should be the projectiles. Yes, sir.
And
These are
those
the projectiles that were
recovered?
located, yes.
Okay. And do they appear to be in substantially the same condition as when you collected them on that day?
They do.
Judge moved out State's Exhibit 33 admitted into evidence.
No objection. State's 33 will be admitted without objection.
And move to publish.
Granted.
Just a few more questions here, Detective.
Sure.
For a picture that I saw here a minute ago, and then we continue to find it. Okay. showing you what's marked as State's Exhibit A51.
Yes.
Do you recognize what that is?
Yep, it's a house right at the end of the street on Highlands.
Okay. And would State's A52 be kind of looking from that house down Florabraska?
That's correct.
All right. So you would be standing basically here, you would be standing kind of somewhere over here. Would that be accurate?
That's correct.
Where my finger's pointing here, which would be kind of towards the very side of the house?
That's correct.
And that's the view from that side of the house looking towards Florabraska and the road?
That's correct.
And all of these cars that are pictured in State's Exhibit A52, those would obviously all be there for the crime scene, correct?
They all look like police cars.
Okay. They aren't normally there, in other words?
That's correct.
Okay. Look through my notes for a second, Detective, and I'll let you know. So other than the scene and the autopsy, did you do any other work in this investigation?
Sergeant Cholnick and I went out to 2 locations just looking for video. I rode with her while she was attempting to collect video. That was it.
Okay. And did you ever do any transporting of evidence to Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
I did on 2 occasions.
Okay. And how do you do that? Explain to the jury what that entails.
You create a lab letter, which is what evidence you're sending to FDLE. Then you take the evidence to FDLE, and there's a process by which you check it into FDLE. So there's a recordation of the whole thing in a chain of custody.
In a chain of custody. So you take it yourself personally and drop it off where?
Took it myself personally, checked it out of evidence myself personally, drove it to FDLE personally, and then submitted it to FDLE.
And that's to make sure it doesn't get tampered with, nothing gets messed up. It just goes directly from how you all found it to FDLE.
That's correct.
And then at FDLE, it's kept securely over there?
That's correct.
All right. Let me have a moment, Your Honor. All right, Judge, I'll pass the witness.
Hi, good afternoon, Sergeant.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm good, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. All right, so your job in this case was essentially to preserve and to document the scene. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Okay. When you get on scene, I think you said it was a little bit after 5:30 a.m.?
It was.
Clearly other people had been at the scene before you got there.
That's correct.
But the scene was taped off so that only emergency personnel could be on the inside.
That's correct.
Okay. You talked a little bit about the process in working with a crime scene investigator. The 2 of you, or sometimes even 3 or 4, will work hand in hand together.
Yes.
Okay. So the crime scene investigators, they're the ones that ordinarily that are taking photographs and physically collecting items, correct?
That's correct.
But in all cases, you are on the scene, you're walking the scene with them, you're talking about which potential items of evidence might be relevant.
Yes, along with them also pointing things out to be perhaps.
Of course, because the crime scene investigators, they are trained, correct?
Yes, they are.
And so they are trained into knowing different processes like fingerprinting and photography and all those things.
Yes.
I think you mentioned with Mr. Terry, when you're at a scene, you don't always know what's going to be relevant.
That is correct.
Is it sort of the motto that if it looks like potentially it could be relevant, you're going to collect it just in case you need it down the road?
Yes, it is.
Now, there are some items that are going to stand out to you as definitely being relevant, like, for example, the shell casings.
Sure.
Also, in this particular case, we talked about the tropical fantasy bottle and the phone charger. Those were in very close proximity to the decedent, correct?
That's correct.
So that's something that's potentially relevant to you.
Yes.
You talked a little bit about the process of collecting the items. Now, at all times when items are collected, you and or the crime scene investigators are wearing protective gear.
That's correct, yes.
Such as gloves on your hands.
Yes.
And you are doing that, and they are doing that, so that their own DNA or fingerprints do not transfer onto the items.
That is correct.
Okay. And that's sort of like crime scene 101. Everyone knows that that's what you need
Very
to do.
basic rules, yes.
Right, okay. All right. Are you also involved in decisions with regard to which items to fingerprint for potential fingerprints and which items to swab for potential DNA?
Yes, but then they also have latitude as well. When they get back to the office, they're doing further examinations of the items and sometimes determining the best path to take. But yes, okay. We all work together on that.
Okay. If there's something that you specifically want done, is that something you would communicate to the crime scene investigator?
Yes.
But in addition to that, I think what you're saying is that the crime scene investigator themselves, they can make that determination, oh, I should probably swab or take fingerprints.
That's correct.
Okay. Did you make any special requests for any items to be fingerprinted that were collected?
No, not at that time. I did not.
Okay. Did you make any special requests for items to be swabbed for DNA that were collected?
No.
So the shell casings that were collected from the ground, that there was no request by you to swab those for potential DNA.
That's correct.
And no request for potential fingerprinting evidence to be done.
That's correct.
You talked about also attending the autopsy, and that's something that's fairly normal for a homicide detective.
That's correct.
Almost always in one of these cases where a death is being investigated, there's going to be a crime scene investigator and a detective there.
Oftentimes.
And are you there just sort of as an observer to watch and see what's going on?
Watch, observe, and to learn.
Okay. And were those your roles in this case as well?
Yes, I'm not performing any special function there.
Right. While you were there, though, at the autopsy, I'll talk specifically about this case. Are there swabs that are taken from the decedent herself?
There are.
And those swabs are taken by either the medical examiner or the crime scene investigator?
Generally by the medical examiner, and the medical examiner people that are there, that are their techs, are generally doing all of that. The crime scene, if we bring our crime scene, they are generally only photographing. They may take a piece of evidence back with them, but that's generally only after it's been obtained by the personnel from there.
Do you recall specifically there being swabs taken from Miss Alexander's body in this case?
There were.
Do you ultimately collect those and forward those on to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
In a roundabout way, yes.
Okay.
So they would collect them, they would have them as evidence there, then they would transfer those to us at Tampa PD. They would wind up in our evidence, and then, as in this case, I did take those and submit them to the FDLE lab for further analysis.
And when you say they take them, they collect them, they transfer them, you're talking about the medical
I'm
examiner.
talking to, yes, when I say they, I'm talking about them.
Okay, all right. And in addition to swabs, I asked you about, do they also take fingernail clippings? They, again, being the medical examiner's office.
Yes, fingernail clipping, scrapings, and other things, yes.
And all of that swabbing and all of those clippings are collected to determine if there's any foreign DNA.
Yes,
Okay, and when I say foreign, of course, to Miss Alexander, the decedent.
that's correct.
Okay. And with regard to a conversation as to which items should be sent to FDLE for further testing, are you part of that conversation?
Generally, I am.
Okay, and were you part of that in this particular case?
In the initial parts of this, yes. The beginning of the investigation, those first 2-3 weeks in, I was.
Okay, and also part of that conversation, I'm assuming, is going to be the lead detective.
That's correct.
And the lead detective in this case is Detective Jacob Wheeling?
That's correct.
Okay. Can I have a moment, please, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing further. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
And no objection.
Thank you. Have a good day. You're welcome.
Okay, call your next witness. Call your next witness.
Officer David Ziegler.
So I think this trial is interesting, but I don't know. It's you can see the difference between investigations and how they do things. I don't know. How do you all think about this trial so far? I'm annoyed with some of the muting and stuff the court do, as we can't hear all testimony. But we've not got to the juicy bit yet, so I think that's where it's probably going to be. Whoa.
Thank you, Ron. Officer, if you can please tell the jury your name and spell your last name for the court reporter.
Yes, sir. Officer David Ziegler, D-A-V-I-D-Z-I-E-G-L-E-R.
And I see you're in uniform. How are you employed?
As a patrol officer with the Tampa Police Department.
How long have you been working with the Tampa Police Department?
11 years now.
All right. What are your duties as a patrol officer with the Tampa Police Department?
Answer service calls, proactive patrol in my assigned area.
Do you assist sometimes in investigations?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to take you to May 6th of 2022. Were you working as a patrol officer back in that time?
I was.
What was your district that you worked?
3 at the time.
Okay. Was this location where this homicide of Nilexia Alexander occurred, was that in District 3?
It was.
All right. And did you go to the scene in this particular case?
I did.
All right. And what were your duties when you went to the scene?
I was instructed to obtain any potential surveillance video at surrounding residences that may have captured the offense or incident itself.
Okay. Did you go to the residence of a gentleman by the name of Aaron Saul?
Yes.
Do you recall where he lived?
I believe it was 2905 North Highland Avenue.
So I'm showing you what's already been introduced as State's Exhibit 36B. And I don't know if it is on this particular map, but maybe you can kind of at least give a general indication of where the house is located. Do you see that residence of Aaron Saul on this map of 2905? It may not be on here. I'm not sure if it's a large enough map.
I'm trying to find it. I do see Highland and I do see Nebraska.
Was it south or north of Nebraska?
Would have been south of.
South of, so it would have been this way on the map, down towards the
Correct.
bottom part of this map?
Correct.
Okay. And I noticed some of these show addresses. There's 2912, 2914, 2916. So since they appear to be going down, 2905 would probably be further down. Would that be accurate?
I believe so.
Okay. When you went to that residence, were you able to obtain any video surveillance at that residence?
Yes.
And did you yourself go in there and download the video?
I did.
All right, I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 6. Let's see if you recognize what that video.
I do.
How do you recognize it?
It was the same video that I have reviewed in your office last week, I believe, and it's signed on the CD itself.
And your initials are on the CD?
They are, yeah.
And did this video fairly and accurately depict what you downloaded on that day?
It does.
All right. Judge, moved to have State's Exhibit 6 admitted into evidence.
Any objection?
I don't have any objection.
It will be admitted to State 6.
Move.
Objection?
Move to publish. Did this video have sound?
It does.
Okay. Does this video appear to capture the sound of gunshots?
Yes.
I may need help with this volume just to make sure I have it right. Where's the volume on this? I want to make sure it's here. It should be. Okay, so it's at 100. So it'll come out, right?
Yeah.
This video, is the time and date on the top, were you able to verify that it was in fact accurate?
I was, down to the minute of real time.
Down to the minute in real time. All right, now I'm going to fast forward here a little bit. Yep, it missed the first shot. Let me try again. All right, I'm going to rewind that a little bit because the first shot doesn't come out. So let's hear. And when you recorded this, you heard those shots back then when you got it?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you then took this and put it into evidence. Would that be accurate?
I actually gave the flash drive directly to homicide detectives.
Okay, to homicide detectives. All right. All right, I have no further questions of this witness, Judge.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Officer, obviously you did not hear those sounds live for yourself, correct?
No, correct.
That's something that you discovered sometimes later, long after you had arrived at the initial response scene.
Yeah, the sounds I heard was from the video only.
Okay. And about what time was it that you responded to the scene itself?
I can review my report.
Do you have that with you to refresh your memory?
Not with me, no.
Okay, if I have a copy on my computer to show it to you, is that
Sure.
all right?
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor? May I approach the
Absolutely.
Thank you. Sorry, I know it's a little unorthodox, but if that refreshes the memory, just have a look and let me know when you're ready.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? Is your memory now refreshed as to what time you may have arrived at the scene?
Yeah, approximately 4:31 a.m. on May 6th, 2022.
You're not one of the first people to arrive at the scene, correct?
No.
By the time you get there, in fact, the scene's already sort of roped off and other officers are already there.
I can verify that other officers were there on scene first, yeah.
Can I have a moment here?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, officer. No
Thank
other
you.
questions?
Okay.
Can you be ready?
Oh, no, sorry, I'm sorry.
May this witness please speak? Yes.
Yes, no objection.
You're free to go.
Thank you, sir.
State and make your witness.
And at this time, the state would recall Ali Wallace.
Recall. They're recalling a witness. Oh, this guy, we didn't hear him earlier on.
Now,
Okay.
Mr. Wallace, I think you indicated that at the time you were watching this vehicle, you heard gunshots. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I am publishing what is now in evidence of State Exhibit 6. If you can listen to it and let me... a second. So are those shots consistent with the shots you heard?
Yes, those are. They are.
All right. I have no further questions. Thank you.
No additional questions. Thank you.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're free to go. Thank you, Your Honor. Attorney's approach?
Attorney's approach. I think he's a lovely. I think he's a neighbour or something because he heard the shots. Oh shit! Hang on. So they're in recess.
So basically, whatever question I ask you, you just need to stick to the answer and information that you absolutely allowed to spend on the day in question. In jail since.
We have all kinds of rules and laws and things that
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Not sure what this witness, why they're not showing this witness.
you're probably not happy, but this is what it is. So we have all kinds of rules and laws and things that always have to follow. And some things can be said outside of court, but can't be said inside. So she's going to ask you specifically, tell you about some things that you can't say in court.
Okay. All right. So it's important that you note that you cannot say anything about whether or not the defendant had just come out of prison, whether he had been in jail, that he has been in jail since, that Your thoughts as to your speculation as to whether or not he may or may not be guilty. You are not allowed to speculate as to what the defendant did on the day in question, whether the only thing you can testify to is to what you have personal knowledge of. For example, if you were sleeping, you can't say, well, maybe the defendant was here or there. You can only indicate what you know. Do you see what I'm saying? Also, where you are of the opinion that on the day in question, the defendant may or may not have loaned anyone his vehicle. If you weren't awake to know that, you are not allowed to speculate about that based on what he told you. Do you understand? Oh, is that a yes for the record? Yes. Okay. Even as it pertains to your phone, where you indicated to me and an investigator that you had given Ronny Walker the passcode and he knew your passcode, you then went on to speculate as to whether or not he may have given it to others. You are not allowed to do that. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? So basically, whatever question I ask you, you just need to stick to the answer and information that you absolutely know with personal knowledge, not from what the defendant has told you, not from what you've heard on the streets, and not from what you might have even heard from Robert Creed or anybody else. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Very important to listen to what she says. Thank you. So we're going to bring the jury in.
All rise for the jurors.
I'll let the jury know the arguments. Go ahead.
I think she was a witness not to be seen, but we've already seen her because the cameraman showed us. We don't know who the witness is yet. We'll find out now. I think his girlfriend or ex or something. But yeah, this cameraman's having a mare. This cameraman's shown the jury and he's shown this witness was not supposed to be seen. Jeepers.
You were able to follow the court's instructions, no comments from other people. You didn't talk to people, look up anything or anything about the case. Very good. Thank you. Also, for the record, this witness, I had to clear up some things real quick. So she's already been placed under oath and took her oath, so you don't have to worry that she wasn't sworn in because we already did that. And Ms. Fawcett, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Can you please say your full name for the record?
Erica Corbett Sweet.
I'm sorry, can you speak louder, please?
Erica Corbett Sweet.
Okay. And ma'am, how old are you?
42.
Are you currently employed?
No.
Okay. Do you know a person named Ronny Walker?
Yes.
Do you see him in court today?
Yes.
Can you please identify him by an article of clothing, by something he's wearing?
A suit.
Can you point him out and tell us a description of what he's wearing?
A blue blazer suit.
Okay. Where is he sitting?
In front of me, to the left.
Okay. May the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant?
It will reflect the identification.
Okay. Now, how do you know Ronny Walker?
An ex-boyfriend.
He's an ex-boyfriend?
Yes.
About how long have you dated him or been in a relationship with him?
About 3 months.
Okay. 3 months?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
3 months.
Okay. So as of May the 6th of 2022, about how long had you been in a relationship with him?
About 6 months.
Okay. And did you continue to have a relationship with him after May of 2022 and leading into 23, 24, 25?
No.
Okay. But did you continue to have regular communication with him?
No.
Okay. All right. So back on May the 6th of 2022, what was your phone number?
305-910-9779.
And is that still your phone number today?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'd like to turn your attention specifically to May the 6th of 2022. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Was there anything specific or significant about that day to you?
No.
Did you go out earlier that day and then head home?
No.
Okay. Do you remember around what time you went to sleep?
About 8 p.m.
Why did you go to sleep so early that day?
I had just left a party.
Okay, so you went to a party. Who did you go to the party with?
My cousin.
Okay. Did you go also with Ronny Walker?
No.
Okay. When you were at the party, do you know where Mr. Walker was?
Home.
Okay. When you got home at 8 p.m., was Mr. Walker at home?
Yes.
And when we speak of home, are we speaking about your apartment?
Yes.
And where was that apartment?
At 1801 East 26th Avenue.
Okay. Unit D, is it
Yes.
Tampa, Florida?
Yes.
Is that here in Hillsborough County?
Yes.
Okay. So Is it safe to say that at that time, Ronnie Walker and you were kind of staying at that apartment?
Yes.
Okay. And on May the 6th of 2022, when you arrived home at 8 p.m., what did you do?
Go to sleep.
You went straight to sleep?
Yes.
And when you were heading to bed at 8 p.m., do you recall what Mr. Walker was doing?
No.
Okay. And when you fell asleep at 8 p.m., do you recall waking up numerous times through the night or sleeping till morning?
Sleep till morning.
And to morning for you, about what time would you say you recall waking up?
About 6 a.m.
So you slept from 8 p.m.
Yes.
on May the 5th,
Yes.
okay? Is that correct?
Correct.
Up until 6 a.m. on May the 6th.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you recall waking up, going to use the bathroom or anything like that?
No.
Okay. And in the time when you got home to your apartment and went to sleep at about 8 p.m., did you have this cell phone, 305-910-9779?
No.
You didn't have it?
No.
Okay. So where was it?
In the car.
Okay. So you left your cell phone in a vehicle.
Yes.
Which vehicle did you leave it in?
Ronnie's vehicle.
Okay. And what type of vehicle did Ronnie Walker have?
A black Ford.
Okay. All right. And so was there a specific passcode associated with your phone?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever share your phone with Ronnie Walker?
Yes.
At the time of this incident, was Mr. Walker's phone working? Did he have his own phone that was working at the time?
I can't recall.
Okay. Was Ronnie Walker's phone broken?
Yes.
Okay. So the phone that he was using was your phone, is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us what would have happened from the time frame of 8 p.m. on May the 5th through May the 6th at 6 a.m.? Do you have any way of telling us that? Because you were asleep throughout, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Besides Ronnie Walker, did you give another person your passcode?
Yes.
You did?
May.
Categorically is what I'm asking you. Do you remember giving
Oh, no.
someone else your passcode?
No.
Okay, so you did not?
No.
Okay. Have you ever gone by the name Erica Hudson?
No.
Do you know Robert Creed?
Yes.
How do you know Robert Creed?
In the neighborhood.
Okay. Is he someone that Ronnie Walker associated with, hung out with?
Yes.
Had you seen him multiple times?
Yes.
And when you saw him those multiple times, was he with Ronnie Walker?
Okay. Yes.
Do you know a person named Stanley Wilson?
No.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm showing you what has been pre-marked as State Exhibit E1 through 5. Have you previously had an opportunity to review these?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recognize the images depicted in E1 through 5?
Yes.
I'm showing you State Exhibit 20C. Do you recognize this number as your phone number?
Yes.
State Exhibit 29C. Do you recognize this individual?
Yes.
State Exhibit 29. Do you recognize this individual?
Yes.
State Exhibit 29B. Do you recognize her?
Yes.
State Exhibit 30D. Do you recognize this as your phone number? Your phone.
Yes.
Okay. And just take these down. And do you recognize this to be your address at the time?
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, at this time, the state would move into evidence State Exhibit 30D, 29B, 29, 29C, 30C, and E1 through 5.
Any objections? Those will all be admitted without objection.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am, I'm showing you what is now in evidence with State Exhibit 30C. Do you recognize this phone number up top?
Yes.
Okay. And on May the 7th of 2022 at 12:39, are you the person who wrote, "'Cause it's me, Q"?
No.
Okay. State Exhibit 30D. This number here, 305-591-09, I'm sorry, 305-910-97. Is that the number that was yours?
Yes.
May of 2022?
Yes.
And is that your number till this day?
Yes.
Okay. Looking at the billing address for this.
Yes.
It's the same address that you were staying, in which Ronny Walker was staying at with you?
Yes.
State Exhibit 29, is this Ronny Walker?
Yes.
And at the time, is this the home that his mother lived at?
Yes.
Okay. And you were often at that home, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Showing you State Exhibit E2. Do you recognize the person depicted in this image?
Yes.
Who is that?
Ronny Walker.
State Exhibit E5. Who is this individual, if you can tell?
Robert Creed.
State Exhibit E4. Who is this?
Ronny Walker.
State Exhibit E3. Is that another?
Yes.
Who is that?
Ronny Walker.
E1.
Ronny Walker.
Your Honor, may I have a moment, please?
Yes, ma'am.
That would have been. Hi, good afternoon, Ms. Sweet.
Afternoon.
And the dates can get a little confusing, so I want to try and clear something up. The party that you went to, that would have been on May. Sorry, go ahead. Take care of that. The party that you went to, that would have been on May the 5th.
Correct.
Okay. And do you remember what day of the week that was? Like, was that like a Friday, a weekend, a weekday?
It was, I believe it was a weekday.
Okay, all right. When you went to that party, you actually were using Mr. Walker's black Ford, correct?
Correct.
You were using his car.
Correct.
And your cell phone, you actually left by accident. You forgot the phone inside the car.
Correct.
Okay. And in fact, that caused some sort of a mix-up the next day.
Objection. Just leaving the witness.
It's cross-examination.
It's gross. So I'll allow it.
You leaving your phone in Mr. Walker's car, that caused a mix-up the next day where he was supposed to come get you at work, and you were unable to contact him to tell him you had already left work. Is that correct? Do you remember that?
Correct.
And at the time, you were working where?
Tampa General Hospital.
And was that pretty common that Mr. Walker would come and pick you up from time to time at Tampa General Hospital?
Yes.
And is that because as an employee at Tampa General Hospital, if you drove yourself, you would have to park a bit of a ways away from the hospital?
Yes.
Okay. The phone that you were using, you recall that phone number, and that's the same phone number that you have today, correct?
Correct.
You mentioned Mr. Walker, and he, I think you showed us that the address that was listed on his DMV record was his mother's address, correct?
All right.
And his mother's name, what is his mother's name?
Emma?
Emma. You don't recall the last name?
No.
Okay. She had a phone in her name that Mr. Walker used, like he was on her phone plan, correct?
Correct.
You talked to Miss Fawcett about a passcode that you had on your phone. Do you remember asking about that?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you remember coming into my office and talking to me back in September of 2024?
No.
You don't remember coming to my office for a deposition?
No.
Okay. Do you remember, let's take me out of it. Do you remember going to an office somewhere downtown across the street to take a deposition or to give a deposition?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll just take me out of it. That's okay. I'm not that important. During that time, were you sworn to tell the truth, much like you were earlier today?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember being asked questions during that time?
Yes.
Okay. And for the record, counsel, I'm referring to page 27, starting at lines 9 through 18. And this is going to be a little long-winded. Let me know if you need to repeat it, but just let me ask my question, okay? Do you remember being asked, when talking about your phone, do you remember being asked, was there like a passcode on that phone? And you responded, no. Do you remember being asked that question and being given that answer?
No.
If you were to see a transcript from your deposition, would that help refresh your recollection as to giving that answer?
Yes.
Okay. Judge, may I approach the witness? You take your time and have a look at that as much as you need to, and let me know when you're all done. Have you had a chance to look at that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you now recall being asked that question? Was there like a passcode or something on that? And you responded no.
No, I don't recall.
Okay. During that same deposition, you were asked the question, so how would you usually get into the phone? And you responded, I just swipe up. Isn't that true?
I don't recall.
You don't remember. During that same deposition, you were asked the question, so you just swipe up and it unlocks?
Sorry. Yeah. Yes.
Like,
All right, I'll go back.
that's embarrassing. Your phone goes off once, you're mortified. Your phone goes off twice. What the fuck? Maxi, taxi, I found the judge, judicial officer, Robin F. Fusson.
Ask that question again. During that deposition, you were asked the question, so you just swipe up and it unlocks? And you responded, yeah. Isn't that true?
I don't recall.
During that same deposition, you were asked the question, okay, is there any kind of like facial identity? And you responded, no. Isn't that also true?
Yes.
You mentioned when Ms. Fawcett asked you about Mr. Robert Creed, you know who that is, correct?
Correct.
And does he go by a nickname?
Q?
Q?
Yeah.
Is that because and you may or may not know this, but his name is Robert Quincy Creed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, do you know Mr. Creed's family?
No.
Do you know Mr. Creed's cousin?
No.
You said earlier that when you went to sleep after the party on May the 5th, that you slept all the way the whole night through and did not wake up in the middle of the night, correct?
Correct.
So if there are any phone calls or text messages being sent from your phone at, let's say, 3 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning or so on, would that have been you sending those messages and making those calls?
No.
Can I have a moment, Your Honor? I don't have any other questions for you.
Yes. Ma'am, the deposition that you were asked about, Would that have been in September of 2024? Does that sound about right? September of 2024?
Can't recall.
Okay. But did you give a sworn statement in July of 2022? Did you come down and give a sworn statement with law enforcement in 2022 after the investigation had just started?
Yes.
Okay. And during that particular questioning, which would have been what, a month, 2 months or so after the investigation started, do you recall being asked whether or not you did, in fact, and I'm citing Court and Counsel to page 27 of the sworn statement from the date that I've indicated. Do you remember being asked if you had a passcode for your phone?
Yes.
And do you, in fact, have a passcode for your phone?
Yes.
Okay. And did you, in fact, have a passcode for your phone in May of 2022?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I have just shown you stills from the Thornton's video. At any point in time, were you in that vehicle on May the 6th of 2022?
No.
Were you out and about 3 a.m.?
No.
Did you know Nilexia Alexander?
No.
Were you in any way a part of murdering Nilexia Alexander?
No.
A moment. I have no further questions. Thank you.
I just want to stay excused.
Yes, sir. No objection.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is Fuson. It is Fuson. There you go. Robin F. Fuson. Yes, there you go. Maxie?
If you Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
If you could please tell the jury your name.
Ashley Moore, Moore.
Thank you. And how are you employed, Ms. Moore?
I'm a crime scene technician with the Tampa Police Department.
And what sort of training, education do you go through to become a crime scene technician?
I have a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from the University of Miami. I have a Master of Science in Forensic Science from the University of Florida, as well as additional training courses. I have a 40-hour course in crime scene investigation, 16-hour course in forensic photography, and additional training courses and in-house training along the way.
And how long have you been working with the City of Tampa Police Department?
9 years.
And in all of that time, have you been working as a crime scene investigator?
Yes, I have.
All right. And about approximately in your time in those 9 years, about how many crime scenes do you think you've been to?
Ooh, we go to anywhere from 15 to 30 a month over the course of those 9 years. So.
All right. And when you're at those crime scenes, what sort of things do you do?
I document the scene through digital photography. I identify, collect, and preserve physical evidence. And then I might do some additional processing of that evidence or that scene for latent fingerprints or potential DNA.
Do you work in close concert with detectives?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And do you all kind of basically work as a team where you all each look for things and then pointing things out to each other and kind of that sort of way?
Yes.
All right. Now, turning your attention to May 13th of 2022, were you employed in the same capacity back then?
Yes, I was.
All right. Did you become involved in the case in the investigation into the death of Nilexia Alexander?
Yes.
All right. What role did you take in this investigation?
I was requested to respond to the Tampa Police Department impound lot to process a vehicle.
All right. Explain to the jury what that means.
It means that I photograph this vehicle, process for, collect evidence, preserve that evidence, process for latent fingerprints, and then also potential DNA.
Okay. And did you do that in this case?
Yes, I did.
Now, when you go there and you're shown this vehicle, did you know anything about the vehicle? Like, where do you have any background, or are you just told just process the vehicle?
The detective had some background, but no, I was just directed by him.
Okay. And where is this impound lot?
It was on 34th Street South, 110 34th Street.
Okay. Do you recall about what time you got there to process it?
Roughly 11:30 at night, maybe midnight.
So you all work long hours, I guess, huh?
I work overnight.
Okay. So you are so I guess always someone has to be on call. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So anytime there's a crime, someone from the crime scene investigator can go out there and be available even at 3 in the morning.
Correct.
All right. So back then you were working nights.
And today, but yes.
And today.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is basically your morning, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to show you what have been marked as States Exhibit D1 through D34. If you can take a quick look at these and see if you recognize them.
Yes, I do.
What are they?
They're the photos that I took of that vehicle that night.
And do these photos fairly and accurately depict the condition of the vehicle when you received it to process it?
Yes.
Judge State would move into evidence, States Exhibits D1 through D34.
Just want to be clear for the record, D as in dog, not C as in cat.
Is everybody with me?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And so at this point, I would move into evidence, States Exhibits C1 through C34.
I don't have any objections.
All right. Thank you.
Will be admitted as C, 34. With no objection.
All right. Now, I'm going to go through these with you. So let me start with C1 and ask you, do you recognize what that is?
Yes, this is the vehicle that I photographed and processed.
All right. Now, when you receive this vehicle to process it, what condition is it in? Like, is it preserved? Is there something done to it to make sure that that nothing's been tampered with?
Yes, there are evidence seals, which you can see in the photo, on every door and opening of the vehicle.
All right. Can you kind of show the jury, if maybe kind of stand up and point to kind of where they are?
So there's one here, and then there's two here, and they continue around.
Okay. For the record, Your Honor, she pointed to kind of the center area of the picture, where right above the trunk, and then to two little areas on the bottom portion of the car doors. All right. And so, what is the purpose of those stickers?
To ensure that the vehicle has not been opened from the moment it was sealed to the moment I open it.
Okay. Now, did you seal this?
I did not.
All right. But this is the condition it was when you first observed it.
Correct.
And then C2 is the other side of the vehicle. And again, we see what you described earlier, those two marks sealing up the car, correct?
Yes.
And C3 is again the side of that vehicle. And here again, you can see that same marker.
Yes.
All right. And overall, the pictures are demonstrating to you what the vehicle looked like on the day you were there to process it, correct?
Yes, it is.
And so any scratches, anything like that, that was how it was when you got there?
Correct.
All right. Do you, in fact, break the seals on this car?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And that the purpose of that is so that you can go in and process the interior?
Yes.
All right. Showing you C4. What are we looking at in this picture?
This is the interior side of the driver's side front door.
All right. Now going back to, just to be clear, you can see it on C1. This is a four-door vehicle, correct?
Correct.
So there is an entry for both the driver, the front seat passenger, and then the rear driver seat passenger and the rear passenger seat passenger.
Yes.
Okay. So now C5 is again that door open, but this gives you a better view of the interior of the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
All right. And C6, that would be the interior of the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And that's how it was when you photographed it? You didn't move anything? You didn't place anything? For instance, that cup that's over there on the passenger side, that cup was there when you opened it?
Yes, it was.
All right. And C7, what are we looking at there?
That's the driver's side front seat.
And again, this is just to document the condition of the vehicle, what it looked like to you just with the naked eye when you're looking at it from opening it up for the very first time.
Yes.
Okay. And then C8.
The interior passenger side front door.
And C9.
another view into the interior passenger side of the vehicle.
Okay. And then C10, that kind of looks straight through the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
All right. And do you photograph like what's on the floors as well?
Yes, I do.
All right, so in C11, what are we looking at there?
That's the floor, the passenger side front floor.
And the items that you see in here, just random items, you collect those items from the vehicle?
I collect items that are pointed out by the detective, yes.
Okay. Then in C12, what is this a view of?
The interior passenger side rear of the vehicle.
All right, in C13, don't know why it's not.
There we go.
Okay.
Another view into the interior passenger side rear of the vehicle.
Okay. And again, kind of looking all the way through, and there appears to be a jacket hanging there, correct?
Yes.
All right. Was that the condition of it and where it was and how it was hanging when you opened up those car doors?
Yes.
All right. And C14?
That is looking down on the interior passenger side rear seat.
Okay. And C15?
The interior driver's side rear door.
Okay. And again, when you unsealed it and opened it up, that's the condition and that's where the jacket was hanging?
Yes, that's correct.
And C16?
This is the driver's side front door.
Okay. And C17, this is just kind of looking through again?
I think I misspoke. That was the driver's side rear door. Is that what I said? I'm sorry.
Driver's side rear door?
Yes, okay. I want to make sure I said the rear door, yes.
Okay, yes, okay.
And then this is looking into the driver's side rear interior.
Okay. Now, was the jacket moved at all to show the towel, or was that towel just like that? Was it all just like that?
It was like that.
Okay. And C18, is this just more of a close-up of the towel that was there?
Yes, it is.
All right. And C19, what are we looking at there?
This is the driver's side rear floor.
And C20, what do we see there?
That's that towel, and at this point I have moved the jacket slightly.
Okay, I was about to ask. So the jacket's, now you've moved it aside so that you can take the picture looking more at the seat?
Correct.
Okay. And C21, what is that?
This is the driver's side rear seat. There is a can of carpet and mat cleaner there.
All right. C22, is that a close-up of that?
Yes, it is.
C23,
We are in the passenger side rear interior.
and C24.
There was a can of the carpet stain and spot lifter.
This is a different can.
This is a different can.
So there were two cans of carpet stain and spot removers.
Yes, there were.
C25, what are we looking at there?
The interior trunk of the vehicle.
C26, what are we documenting here?
I have collected some items from the vehicle, and so now this is the driver's side rear interior after I've collected some of those items.
Okay, and this yellow sticker down there, what is that?
There was some red substance right there where that sticker was.
Okay, so you could observe it with your naked eye, you could see some red substance there?
Yes, I could.
All right, and that's to indicate where you saw it?
Yes.
C27?
I'm getting closer into that red substance.
Okay, all right, so it's just to kind of show as you get a little closer.
Correct.
And C28?
There. Again, closer in towards that red substance.
Now, can you show the jury kind of where you could see it? I see the sticker, but like where was the red substance that you noticed?
Sure. It is a line like this here.
Okay. Did you do anything with that particular area of the car where you saw that red substance?
I did swab that area, and I also tested it with phenolphthalein.
You tested it for what?
Phenolphthalein, it's a presumptive test for blood.
Okay, and what was the result of that?
Positive.
All right. And C29, is this in fact a picture of the swab that you took?
Yes, it is.
C30, what do we see here?
I noticed that there was a little bit more red substance there, and I marked it as well.
Okay, so after you had noticed that one and swabbed that one, you looked a little closer and you saw one right, or a spot next to it.
Correct.
Okay, and did you do the same thing with that?
I did not test that spot. I just collected it.
Just collected it, okay. Now, you mentioned the phenolphthalein test that came back positive for blood. Do you also do anything else to the car as far as processing to determine or see if there's any blood or any evidence anywhere?
Yes, we use a chemical called Blue Star, which is a blood reagent that's used to help visualize not easily seen or traces of blood.
Okay. Now, going back to that swabbing, so what do you do when you make a swab? And we show the jury the picture of the swab with the red substance on it. What do you do with that swab after you swab it?
So that particular swab was just used for the test. I'd use a different sterile, clean swab that I then swab the area and collect, impound, and put into evidence.
All right. And do you mark it and indicate where you swabbed it, where the swab came from?
Yes, I do.
And do you seal that up?
Yes, I do. To impound into evidence, it can be later sent off for confirmatory testing.
Okay. So you don't do the testing yourself. You just do the swabbing, collect it, secure it, label it so it's identifiable, and then put it into evidence.
Correct.
All right. And then what happens with that swab later is usually decided by a detective or someone else. Would that be accurate?
Yes, that's accurate.
All right. So going back to the Blue Star, so you say it will indicate or possible blood. Now, could it indicate other things?
Yes, it can.
What else can it indicate?
You can get a false positive from bleach or some foods or some other metallic substances as well.
Okay. Did you use Blue Star in that area where you saw what appeared to be blood and that you swabbed and tested positive for blood?
Yes, I did.
All right. And did you get a reaction from the Blue Star?
Yes, I did.
All right. I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit C31. Is that, if you can show the jury where you see the Blue Star reacting?
Sure. The blue area that you see, that is light emitted from the reaction. That would be the Blue Star reacting.
Okay. Now, this Blue Star, is it also sprayed elsewhere?
Yeah, it's on the seat and all in that vehicle as well.
But the only place that you noticed any of the blood or the Blue Star that it lit up or showed up was right there?
Correct. In this photo, just right there.
In that photo, yes. In C32, what are we looking at there? I can see right here is where it was for the other stuff. What is the rest of that?
This is the interior driver's side rear door. That's the part of the door that closes, and you can see the luminescence, which is that positive reaction from the Blue Star.
Okay, and that's along the interior of the door?
Yes, along there.
Right. Now that jacket that we saw in some of those earlier pictures, did you take that jacket into evidence?
Yes, I did.
All right. I'm showing you what's marked as states C33. This is in fact the jacket?
Yes, it is.
And then C34, that's the jacket with the hanger?
Yes, it is.
Now there are gloves up there. I'm going to ask if you can take a look at it and without opening State's Exhibit C28 and tell me if you recognize it.
Yes, this is the packaging that I had for the jacket, which is in here.
Okay, can you look inside?
Yeah.
Does it appear to be the jacket?
Yes, it does.
And is it in the same or substantially the same condition as when you took it into evidence?
Yes, it is.
Judge, at this time, move to have State's Exhibit number 28 admitted into evidence.
No objection. State's 28 will be admitted into evidence without objection.
You publish, Your Honor?
Granted.
Did you do any processing of this jacket, or did you just take it into evidence?
I just collected it.
Okay, so any potential processing of it was done by somebody else, but not you?
Correct. Just have it. Okay.
That's okay. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Is that in fact your packaging?
Yes, it is.
And what is 25A? Can you tell where it was swabbed from?
Yes, this is a swab from the driver's side rear door, the bottom near the door jamb.
Okay. Was this the area that was that lit up or that tested positive for blood?
Yes.
Okay. So that's 25A.
Yes.
Judge Booth has State's Exhibit 25A admitted into evidence.
No objection. Without objection.
State's Exhibit 25B. You take a look at that. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Does it have your markings and that you sealed it?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and is that in fact a swab you took in that case?
Yes, it is.
And where's that swab taken from?
This is a control sample of the Blue Star.
So that's a control sample.
Yes.
So what does that mean? Explain to the jury.
Because I sprayed the Blue Star and I added it to the scene, I wanted to take a swab of just the Blue Star by itself.
Okay.
So that is what this is.
Right, and that's maybe for potential testing issues or stuff like that down the road?
Correct.
And 25C, again, I'm showing you. Do you recognize that envelope?
Yes, I do.
And does it have your markings?
Yes, it does.
And what is that envelope?
This is a swab that was taken of the driver's side rear roof on the interior.
All right. Thank you. Judge, move to have State's Exhibits 25B and 25C admitted into evidence.
25B and 25C will be admitted without objection.
All right, 25B. You take a look at that. Again, do you recognize that envelope?
Yes, I do.
Does it contain the markings of that you put on the envelope?
Yes, it does.
And does it identify where that swab came from?
Yes, it does.
And where was that swab taken from?
This is the red substance marked E on the interior driver's side rear door frame, which tested with the phenolphthalein.
Okay. So is that same area again that that showed up?
Yes.
In the Blue Star. Move to have State's Exhibit 25D admitted into evidence.
No objection.
Will be admitted as 25B without objection.
Show you State's Exhibit 25E. You recognize that envelope?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
This is that additional red substance that I swabbed that marked F, that second scale that I put down.
Okay.
Same area, driver's side rear door frame.
All right. Move to have State's Exhibit 25E admitted into evidence.
No objection.
25B will be admitted without objection.
State's 25F. If you can take a look at that. Do you recognize that envelope in the markings?
Yes, I do.
And is that also your envelope?
Yes, it is.
And what is that?
This is a swab of the interior driver's side front window buttons after I applied Blue Star, which luminesced.
Okay. And does that is that in the same condition as when you swabbed it, basically, or?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Move to have State's 25F admitted into evidence.
No objection.
And show you State's 25G.
25F will be admitted without objection.
Thank you. 25G. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
This is a swab from the interior passenger side front door near the bottom door jamb after a Blue Star was applied.
All right. And is it in the same condition, basically? And,
Yes, it is.
all right. And you took that swab?
I did.
Judge moved to have State's Exhibits 25G admitted into evidence.
No objection.
25G will be admitted without objection.
Other than the area down at the bottom that you tested with the phenolphthalein, did anything else in the car test positive with phenolphthalein in the phenolphthalein test?
With the phenolphthalein, no.
Okay. Did you attempt to lift any prints from this car or any items in the car?
Yes, I did.
And what items did you attempt to lift prints from?
Quite a few, but specifically that can of carpet cleaner.
Okay, the turtle wax?
Yes.
And were you able to obtain a lift, you believe, from there?
I photographed a print on there, yes.
Or you photographed? So
I did.
let's explain to the jury how you do lifts and how they work, because I know there's different ways of doing it, so explain.
Right. Depending on the surface, you might use a black powder to apply and then a lifting tape, and that would be like a physical lift that you would turn in. Some surfaces are better to use super glue fuming, which the super glue adheres to the print, and then I would use a dye stain, which makes that print more visible to the camera, and I'd photograph it, which is what I did in the case with the carpet stain.
Okay, and you took a photograph of it?
Yes, I did.
All right. And what do you do with these lifts, either the cards that you lift or the photographs?
I turn them into our latent examination section.
Okay. So you don't do the examination of the prints yourself? You're not a print examiner?
No, I do not.
Right. I'm going to show you what it will be marked a second here. Is this, in fact, an example of the print that you took?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And is that how it appears when you take the print from it?
Yes.
And is this from the fuming or whatever that you just described?
Yeah, the super glue fuming, yes.
All right. And is this, in fact, the print you took from that turtle wax cleaner?
It appears to be yes.
And this is State's Exhibit number 34 for the record. Right, and does it appear to be in pretty much the same condition as when you took it?
Yes.
All right. Move to have State's Exhibit number 34 admitted into evidence.
Objection.
No objection.
This 34 will be admitted, no objection.
So just to be clear, so the jury can see that this is what you observe when you take the pictures, and you put the little ruler there.
Yes, I put the ruler there for scale.
Okay, for scale. Can we have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
All right, Judge, no further questions. I'll pass the witness.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello.
Just a brief moment, if you could bear with me. Good. All right. I want to ask you a couple of questions, specifically relating to your phenolphthalein testing that you do.
Sure.
Now, that is a presumptive blood test that you do, correct?
Correct.
And it is presumptive because it is not definitively blood if it tests positive, correct?
Correct.
This is what we call sometimes a color change test, right?
Yes.
And there are things other than blood that can cause the color to change whatever color comes up positive.
Yes.
And what is that color? Is it a pink color?
Yes, it goes from colorless to a bright pink.
Okay. And I actually wanted to make sure. Sorry, I forgot my sticky note. All right, Mr. Terry showed you State's Exhibit C29, and this is that area that you swabbed that came up presumptive for blood, correct?
Yes.
The color that we see on this Q-tip, that is not the color that comes up when you swabbed the area, correct?
Correct.
That is the color that the Q-tip turns after you add your whatever chemicals to it.
That's correct.
Okay, wanted to make sure that that was clear. Also then now turning to the blue star testing that you do, that is also not a confirmatory test for any kind of blood, correct?
Correct.
Several things can cause something to illuminate blue, including cleaning agents.
That's correct.
Showing you State's Exhibit C32, this is one of those photographs where you get that blue illumination after your blue star, correct?
Yes.
And we can see, for example, that there is some blue star illuminating on the floor of the evidence section, correct?
Correct.
And we have this blue star that is perfectly outlining the side of the door, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this is all in the back or the back driver's seat of the vehicle.
Yes, the rear passenger or rear driver. I'm sorry, rear driver's seat.
Rear driver's seat. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to confuse you there. Mr. Terry reviewed with you, I think we have, 34 photographs here. But you took a lot more than 34 photographs when you processed this vehicle, correct?
Correct.
You took, I think, over 200?
I would have to reference my supplement, but that sounds correct.
Okay. Do you have your supplement with you to
Yes.
reference?
Yes,
If you
I
want
do.
to take a look at that to refresh your memory, go ahead.
Yes, I did. I took 223 photos at the impound lot.
And part of the photos that we did not see today in State's Exhibit C1 through 34 is the blue star illumination in the front passenger seat of the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
There was no blue star illumination anywhere else other than that back driver's side passenger seat and that front passenger seat.
I believe there was some more in the vehicle as well.
Okay, all right, talk to me about that. Where are there other areas where there was blue star illumination?
The interior driver's side front door and those window buttons.
Okay.
Which I then swabbed. That we've talked about the driver's side rear.
Right.
But there was also the passenger side rear seat as well.
Okay, and are there any other areas?
I don't recall.
Okay. The only area that you saw in these photographs that the state has introduced was that back driver's side, correct?
I believe that was all, yes.
Okay. As far as any items to be collected, when you're collecting items, are you wearing protective items on your hands?
Yes, I'm wearing gloves.
And is that to make sure that you are not transferring your own fingerprints or your own DNA onto other items?
That's correct.
Okay. Can I have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Moore, I'd like to draw your attention to that black jacket that was introduced. You did some swabbing on that jacket, is that right?
I did not.
You did not. You're right. I'm sorry. You collected that item, but you did not do any processing on it.
Correct.
So no swabbing for potential wear DNA.
No.
Okay. You also were not requested to do any swabbing for potential gunshot residue, were you?
No.
Okay. Nothing else. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Ms. Dunker asked you about the pictures of the blue star that came up on the driver's side. What was it, like the control buttons where the window is and all of that?
Yes.
And did you swab that?
I did.
Okay. And on the passenger side, you also found blue star lit up at a certain area. Do you recall where that was?
Yeah, the interior door.
The interior door.
Yes.
Did you swab that?
Yes, I did.
Do you know if those swabs were sent to FDLE and what the results are for those, or whether or not they even gave any chemical indication of blood at FDLE?
I don't know.
Okay. So you don't know that. So you don't know whether or not those came back relevant at all.
No, I do not.
All right. And as far as the jacket, do you know whether or not FDLE will do their own swabbing and testing of articles?
I know they will, yes.
Okay. So you don't know if that jacket was sent to FDLE and whether or not they swabbed it or processed it?
I do not know.
All right. Thank you. No further questions this way.
Excuse?
Yes, Judge.
No objection.
Attorney's approach.
Thank you.
That was it. That was the last witness of the day. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this trial. It's different. It's different. At least they've been doing lots of stuff. It seems like they actually investigated, which is rare. I am very interested to hear what the defense are going to say. Monday, I'm going to do day 2 and 3, so a longer day. The one that the defense are accusing will be on Monday, day 2, I believe. He's in prison and comes on. He testified today, so on day 2, which I'll be showing on Monday. The investigation is going well. Investigation seems competent. I know it does, doesn't it? It's weird. They've done a lot of stuff. And when they talk about markers and chain of custody and stuff, it's like, whoa, we're not used to this. Normally, we're told it doesn't matter about chain of custody or markers and stuff like that. So it is interesting. The only thing I don't like about this trial is the cameraman pisses me off, but also the court seems to go mute sometimes and they forget that they're muted. So hopefully that improves as we go along. I think this trial should be they said it might go into July, but I think it probably will now because the death phase, if he's found guilty, it's a death penalty case. So there'll be another trial. I agree. It's courtroom totally run different. So there's another hearing, obviously for a few days if the death penalty is on the table. So that'll be, I presume they're going to be doing that straight after. So that's why it's going to July, I believe. Because I'm not sure what else they're going to, the investigators and witnesses, but I'm not sure what else they're going to put in. Defense will probably have a lot of, not a lot, but they're going to have to try and prove that he didn't do it, and they've got a lot of witnesses, I think. Lovely, it is a death penalty case. That's why I chose it, to be quite honest with you. I chose it because A, it's a 14-year-old involved, and B, it's a death penalty case. And we don't normally do many death penalty cases. So with Kohlberger coming up, I just thought it would be actually quite nice to see how it is done. Because I'm trying to think, have I ever done a death penalty case? I know we did Wade Wilson, but we didn't cover that live. I'm trying to think, I may never have. I don't think I have done a death penalty case ever I can think of off the top of my head. Unless the mods can think of one. I can't. Yeah, I listened to Alan Jackson. He was pissed off with Aunt Bev. He basically says she's a crook bitch. So yeah, it'd be interesting because if Kohlberger does go ahead in mid-August, then but they're talking about now that I'm out of touch with Kohlberger, obviously, because I'm trying to go into it impartial, but I don't know where they stand with the whole death penalty in Kohlbergers now, because they say they're going to pull that off and stuff. I have no idea what's going on. We'll see when we see. It's death penalty because I think it's because it's in Florida, so they tend to go sometimes for death penalty. But I think you're right, lovely, that his past history means that that's why they go for it. You know, so I think when you add everything, that's why they go for manhunt, fucking death penalty. You're right. I was just thinking I need to catch up with BK. I haven't followed. Yeah, I'm trying not to catch up with it, to be quite honest, because like I think it's going to be the next like Karen Reid trial, as in the Division. But I think the Division is going to be more heavy this time. You know, I've spoken to so many people about it, and you're either staunch he's guilty or you're staunch he's not guilty. There's no middle ground on that one. Jeepers. I think it's going to be quite a dangerous trial to cover, if I'm being honest. So we'll see, and it's going to be like 3 months. So I want to try and go into as impartial as possible. So that's why I'm not really looking into any of it, you know. So I can go into it and go right. So because since the manhunt, I've not seen anything either. So yeah, so this trial should give us a good indication of how the death penalty cases work, if Kohlberger still is the death penalty. I don't know. Just like Harry, you're one side or the other, not really middle. No, and I think a lot of people are guilty on it already. And you know, I don't know. I try and go into it innocent unless proven guilty. You know, those people that think that, you know, differently. I think it's, I don't know. We can blame somebody. I would say it's probably always Dana's fault. Hi Dana, how are you? I'm well, bud. How are you? I couldn't watch Karen at all. I found it very triggering after last trial. I don't know. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I can't comment for other people. Obviously, I don't know. Yeah, that's fair though. It starts, I believe, if it goes ahead, it starts. I think is it the 18th of August? I call Erin Hack told me something, but she said she'll confirm with me once she knows for definite, and she'll confirm once she knows for definite that death penalty is still there or off the table. So happy days. There you go, Dana. If you've not watched our vlog yesterday, I put a vlog out. A lot of videos are from Dana. So the Boston blog. I have to get grounded in this case. This case we started today. This case is a bit like, yeah, it's yeah. I'll just say I'm interested more in this case because it's a death penalty case. I that's what I'm most interested about. So and because obviously there's a 14-year-old involved, so I think, you know, it's something that we try to support, you know, so to try and get justice for her, whatever that does look like, you know. But the opening statements for this trial is quite good, Dana. It's probably about an hour long between both of them, so that might give you a good indication. After that, then it's just investigators talking about everything, and that's been quite interesting. So Monday, I think, is a big one, day 2 and 3 on Monday, so we'll see. So in terms of tonight, you've got actually, I think Bedro and Lawyer No have done a pre-recorded video. I think that's out now, or it's live. I don't know. You got Runkle tonight, who's got Leslie and Yanecki on tonight. If you've not listened to Jackson, he was on with Howie Carr yesterday. McAlberts were on, I think, ABC on yesterday, giving an interview. Obviously, you've got the family, you've got Nathan and Mr. Reed. They've been speaking to quite a few networks. Tilboy has got one of the jurors on Sunday, 9 p.m. Boston time. TMZ have got a video of one of the jurors as well, if you've not seen it. Juror number 4, Jessica Shadow had juror number 11 on already from Brazil. She's an attorney in Brazil. She was a juror. And John DiPietro, the idiot who you should never ever believe what he says, he interviewed the alternate, and the alternate was very like staunch, not guilty for Karen as well, and he got some stick for that from people who hate Karen, obviously, and are pro John. So he's not going to interview any more people that think she is innocent, I don't think. So there's a lot to catch up on this weekend. I know there's a lot. Everyone's jumping on, making videos about Karen Reid. I just want to do something a little bit different. I know it's not for everybody. I know everyone's still mad, want to just get Karen Reid content, but I'm going to do probably a stream next weekend, maybe about the Boston trip, and then and that'll probably be me done. So on it all. So right, everybody, that's the end of today. It's a nice short stream today, not too bad, just over 3.5 hours. Considering I wasn't thinking about doing a stream today, it went okay. So there you go. Please hit the like button if you haven't on the way out, and then we shall see you all hopefully Monday at 9 o'clock Boston time, 2 o'clock UK time for day 2 and 3. So I'll be playing 1.25, and it'd probably be the same kind of day because I can skip the break, skip lunch break and everything. So it probably should be roughly the same. So anyway, enjoy your weekends, everybody. Have a good one, and I shall see you on Monday. Take care. God bless. Ta-ra.